I want to give massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much. Hello, good evening and welcome. Glitches done, as Colonel has just mentioned. Yeah, nothing like a sound problem right at the last minute. And I have got nothing like a sound problem. Unfortunately, guest did. Not my fault. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I just need to say that, now what's his name? Who's this likely lad? Because I've forgotten who it was right now. It was, isn't it? Daybreaker Flint has persuaded me to have a beer. My arm was twisted, Day. I was not going to touch it. You forced me no less, to have a beer. Cheers, people. So, a little different tonight. Tonight we've got Kyle Adams again, the guy he has been on here before. He did a mage debunk. I did a debunk. He bunked my debunk, and I've rebunked it. Something like that. Anyway, Kyle is going to be on. He's sat there in the waiting room. He had the sound issue. We got that sorted thanks to Colon's help, which is great. Then at 10 o'clock, so literally just under an hour, we're going to join streams. Dr. Bob, the science guy, is going to bring a whole bunch of guests into this Discord server and onto my stream, and he'll stream it to his stream as well. Should be interesting. It's something that Bob in particular wanted to talk about, but I think it's actually something which affects a lot of the community. So I can't go through everyone. Thank you everyone for coming. Big hellos to all of you, of course, and thanks for all your support. I will also say, just briefly, I've had a few people message me, emails, comments, whatever, just saying, I hope you're all right, with this whole issue that's been going on. Yes, I am. They're not getting to me. I'm dealing with it fine. I really do appreciate the concern. That's wonderful, and it just shows what sort of people you are. So that is great. Probably a little more of that later. But I think it's probably, I'll give them fair warning, about time we get Kyle in, because we've got around an hour to talk about something. Now, Kyle, his channel is actually in the link below. His channel is the Flat Earth Institute of Science, and he's done a couple of videos that I've responded to, and he's responded back, as I said. And a good thing is about Kyle, although we're just about 180 degrees apart with regard to our views, we have been able to hold totally civil conversations and discussions and video responses. I know I tease him, but that's me. But there's nothing nasty going either way, which makes a pleasant surprise. And it's also been nice to see so many people comment either on my videos about him or on his videos, appreciating the civil discourse we have. So I thought I'd bring Kyle back again, and we'll have a bit of a chat about that. So I'm just going to bring him in and then switch on my audio. And fingers crossed, we've got Kyle in the room. Have we got Kyle in the room?
That's me.
It certainly is. How are you, Kyle?
I'm doing great.
Good. Got your sound issues sorted out then, I guess?
Yes.
Oh, it's a bit awkward, isn't it, when these things happen?
Yeah, the computer was trying to register the wrong microphone. So.
Well, sorted out. Conon's a bit of a whiz with that sort of stuff. I knew he'd get you sorted, which is wonderful. So, yeah. How on earth are you then, Kyle? All okay?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
I want to say, right off the bat, massive appreciation, Kyle. Like I said in my lead-up intro just a moment ago, we probably disagree about most things, but we've had a perfectly civil discourse between us, and I want to thank you, in person, if you like, rather than just in video, but for the way that you moved position. That's absolutely the right sort of thing to do. And for those who don't know, Kyle had made some comments about scrunching images with curves up, or the images I'd done, and he had some doubts about the resultant curves shown in the images. I'm trying to be as fair as I can here, Kyle. I gave an example. He looked into it a bit and basically said, yeah. And you moved your position, didn't you?
Yeah, I said, I see curvature, and yeah, I stood with that. And so I've actually been going back and I've been changing the curriculum in my lessons to acknowledge this, and that we do see curvature in many different instances, but the major difference is that I go and explain why we see the curvature. My big point being that just because we see curvature, that doesn't automatically mean that the Earth is a globe.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we're going to continue doing videos back and forth over time with various different aspects. But
I hope so.
Yeah, but my big point here is, whatever and whoever's wrong or right, my big point was the fact that on that particular aspect of it, you basically, and I'm not trying to put words into your mouth, but basically said, "Hey, Mr. S, you show me something that apparently I didn't think was right. I've looked at it. I now think it's right. I've changed my position," which is absolutely the position everybody should hold, but so few do. So I think that's, I genuinely think that's wonderful, Carl. And I saw that someone just put in a comment. Wade Watt says, "I have respect for Kyle for his attitude." Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. I think that's the big number one requirement of good science. Good science requires the ability to adapt to change, and acknowledge when you're wrong. We're trying to look for those instances. We're trying to continually test things, and if we've already made up our mind, then there's no point in even doing a test.
No. Excuse me. I didn't really want to get too much into that unless there's any particular little aspects of Mage and whatever you particularly wanted to cover. But I did say to you the other day that it was something slightly different I wanted to cover, didn't I? Because I wanted to talk to Kyle, and I thought it's only fair to get his permission first. Now, Kyle is. I'm going to get it wrong. Can you tell me what the religion is, Kyle? Because I don't want to get it wrong. I can never remember the proper name.
You're fine. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay, so that's the Salt Lake City based religion, isn't it? That is colloquially known as Mormons because of the Book of Mormon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time nickname, but we've really tried to just throw that off and say, nope, we are Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to
understand
belittle at all, but just I guess most people would know that church as Mormonism, but yeah. Right. So okay, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is that it?
That's right.
Okay, I don't know why I can't ever remember that, but the reason I'm mentioning that, everyone, is not to discuss the religion, the rights, wrongs, or anything like that. But I was interested and wanted, as I said, to get Carl's permission first to discuss with him about, does his religion affect his belief in flat Earth? Is that one of the founding reasons that he either believes it or looked into it or whatever? So you did say a few things to me, Carl, but can you tell us that does the flat Earth, is the flat Earth a requirement in your eyes or your mind, based on your religion?
Not at all. If anything, I can't speak about flat Earth at church whatsoever. If anything, if I were to ever do that, they'd point at me and they'd be ready to stone me to death, pretty much. Yeah, I get that all the time. So
okay.
But I go to church and we go there to worship the Savior, and that's really what it comes down to. We're not there. There's a lot of differing views just amongst the congregation, and so when I go to church, I just do my best to celebrate our common beliefs.
Okay, but so then, did you have any input then as to why so many, not all, I'm not trying to tar everyone with the same brush, but why so many flat earthers have a biblical basis or underpinning of one sort or other for flat Earth? For belief in flat Earth.
That's been a real big curiosity for me, and so I've actually been going through and studying this and trying to find. I've got my list of. I've got 60 people now, 60 different YouTube channels on my list of different flat earthers, and I've been really surprised to see how few of them are actually even Christian. I know, like the Globe Busters, they're kind of agnostic. They don't really talk about any kind of particular religion. They might point at the Bible once or twice, but they're not Christians as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
I've tried talking to Bob about it, and Jeranism, I don't really see a whole lot from there. I know Eric Dubé, he's like Hindu or something like that, and then there's I remember his name, D Marble, allegedly Dave. He comes out and he's straight up, I'm an antichrist, and that's what he said.
What, allegedly
like,
Dave?
Wow.
Allegedly Dave?
Yeah, allegedly Dave.
Well,
yeah, he's straight up an antichrist.
Top tip, Kyle, if you ever end up meeting allegedly Dave, don't shake his hand, okay?
Okay.
Right? I promise you, you don't want to shake his hand. That's nothing religious or anything like that.
One of those he doesn't use toilet paper kind of a thing?
Not quite. Well, I guess we're going to have to say he drinks his urine, but he also washes in it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
okay. So by all
some pretty interesting people out there.
Yeah. So by all means, have a discussion with him, but you don't want to shake hands with him. Actually, you said about you had a list of so many channels, Kyle. Someone did ask me just to ask you something. I'm not trying to catch you out or anything like that. I know you do. Every now and then you do a chart of, this week is, or this month, so-and-so's gone up so many subs, this channel's gone down so many subs or whatever. Someone asked me to point out that you did say, I think that Wolfie had dropped so many subs, but then you declined to mention that, I think it was Daniel Pratt, it might have been, had dropped an awful lot of subs as well. So I guess basically,
I'm not even sure if I don't even have him on the list.
Oh, right. It may have been someone else. It may have been someone else. I guess basically I would say then if you're going to chart that, make sure you do the downs on the flat earthers as well as on the globers and the, you know what I mean? Treat them both sides equally.
Oh, I definitely do. Whenever the flat earthers go down, I would chart it. I haven't really been doing the flat earth news lately, though. I haven't done that in months. But I do really want to get one going for this month, just because the top 10 has changed so much in just the past couple months since I last did a flat earth news episode. My wife really kind of misses that. She really enjoyed getting.
She enjoys doing it. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting seeing both you and your wife on a video recently. Was that the first time she's appeared?
Oh no, she's normally she likes doing the one where we're reading over a science textbook together, and so she's been appearing in each one of those consistently, and so I'm trying to pull her into more and more of them.
So was she flat earth before you, or you before her, or both at the same time?
I was definitely before her.
You were before her. Can I ask how you came to even think about flat earth? Especially if your church, and I guess a lot of the people you interact with are not flat earth.
Yeah. At my work a while back, there was an old Vietnam veteran who I really looked up to and respected, and he told me, he's like, "Oh, you're never gonna believe this. There's a whole bunch of people out there who believe the Earth is flat," and he started to actually kind of get into it, and I started researching that with him, and it was like, "Wow, this is really crazy," and I don't know what to say about that. And I don't know what to say about that, and so kind of little bit by little bit, my whole view changed, and he went with me. He was really unsure of it at first, but as we talked more about it and researched it more into it, we both really felt for it and just jumped right in. But then later on, religiously speaking, like some of our, because we both belong to the same religion here, some of our religious leaders have actually said, nope, the earth is a globe.
Yeah.
That is an absolute truth. And so I pointed that out to him, and after that point, he stopped being a flat earth. He dropped it, and he's like, no. And that was enough for him. But actually, that was enough for me too.
Yeah, I think actually in a way, although of course I think they're right when they say that, in a way, it's wrong for him to just say, well, they've told me it's a globe. That makes me a little worried that he's just accepting what he's told rather than actually finding out, reading and understanding and then coming to that conclusion.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. The Our church leaders have a lot of sway, and when
Yeah.
you consider them to be prophets, just like Moses. And if Moses were to say this, if Moses were to say the Earth is a globe, people are gonna. It's got a lot of sway with that. Does that make sense?
So what would you
So yeah,
uh,
and so for me, I sorry,
no, I was just going to say, so
go ahead.
if your church leaders or elders or whatever you call them said X is true,
Prophets and apostles.
yeah, okay, but if they said X is true, and you look at it and think no, it's not, how do you reconcile that when you can see that thing you're holding in your hand is a cube, and they're saying it's a ball? How do you reconcile that when they're saying it's one thing, but you know it's something else? Or have you not come across that situation?
Well, oh, definitely. That's I'm a flat earther, and yeah, most of the prophets and apostles, all of them that as far as I'm aware, all the living ones, they're all very much globe earthers. And so, anytime we go to church or hear any kind of announcement, they often say globe this, globe that, and so that is kind of a little bit difficult for me.
I
And
bet.
but yeah, so for a while I went with my friend here, and I dropped the flat Earth for some time, and then I started talking to my neighbor there, and we started really discussing it. And he's like, "Well, sometimes the prophets can just say things, that are based off their opinion."
Mm.
And so we started talking about the Bible and about how the Bible says certain things that are translated or interpreted in different ways today. And so how do you know who's right? Is it the Bible or is it the modern day prophet? And so I really started thinking about that. And the major lesson, or the major thing that the church has always encouraged us to do, is to go pray about it, study it out for yourself, and it's between you and God to figure that out. And so we can't
But
just
but then do you
say
not
the
think?
prophet says this and go for it, but you
Well,
have
well,
to actually pray about it.
well, two things. One, I've just had a super chat from General E Shady for $2 saying, "Kyle, you're nice, but grow up. It's a globe." Okay, but but what I was going to say was that, some things though aren't up for debate. Like water is wet, and if someone is saying no, it's dry, they're simply wrong based on the evidence, because you can pour it, you can put your hand in it, pull your hand out, and it's wet. You can tell it's wet. You can do it. Do you know what I'm saying? And the same with
Yeah,
something like
I've got 5 fingers on my right hand, and no one anyone tells me can tell me otherwise.
yes, exactly. So I just I'm really not trying to knock you. I know many people who are religious, including relatives. Okay, so I do know the position that they can hold, which is very much at odds with the position I hold. I mean, if you said you sort of looked into flat Earth, but does it not make you think, well, hold on, how come? If I'm thinking it looks like it's flat, am I right when basically all of science and scientists and scientific books would not point to it being flat, or would not say it's flat? It's
Well,
not. It's
I
not
definitely
saying
have.
you are wrong because you're only one person. But if the other 99 people are all saying it's something different, it's got to seriously make you question, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely, when you get hordes and hordes of people who are just up there standing, and you feel kind of all alone there, the odd man out. It has its moments of, there can be serious moments of doubt. I remember when I was first analyzing the whole mage thing, there was a little bit of a nervous feeling within me saying, I don't know what to expect with this. And
Mm.
yeah, it was until I really fully analyzed it that I was able to say, oh, okay. But yeah, there was a serious moment of reflection when I was uh, analyzing that whole footage that
But then
you presented.
that's good though. If it made you stop and think, even if you didn't change your mind about something, if it made you stop and think, then it's probably to a large extent done its job. And
Yeah,
just absolutely for the record, Kyle, I know I've said it in the video, but absolutely for the record, whatever conclusion you or anyone else draws from that, everything was done with utmost honesty. Okay, the video was not edited. Those strings are physical strings. Everything is as I said. I know you know it's quite right to be a little sceptical, and you said you're going to carry on as though I am being honest, but just to absolutely confirm, I am being totally honest. Okay.
I get that. Yeah.
Excellent. And I was glad that you didn't just look at it like so many flat earthers and say, "Pah, that looks flat. That doesn't look curved to me." That's just being closed-minded, totally closed-minded. No, you looked at it. You took images that were across the middle. You did some scrunching. Now that we've been through that, perhaps came to the wrong conclusion about the scrunching, but I pointed that out. You moved on. That's great. But the point was, you have looked at it and tried to get the answers from it, which I think is wonderful. I really do.
Thank you.
But I still think you're wrong.
I get it.
Actually, I have had another super chat, so let me read that out at that sort of convenient break, which is 1 second. It was a super chat from Second Best Bob. There's two actually. Beg your pardon. There's one from John Watson, who's first, for £5, saying, "Belief in a God is the biggest lie a man can tell himself." J. Watson, 2021. I don't know who J. Watson. Oh, John Watson. I guess that's himself. Yeah, so he's saying belief in God is the biggest lie a man can tell himself. Well, listen, people, I've read out the chat because it wasn't rude, but just for clarity, Kyle didn't come here for an argument about his religion. If he wants to comment, then by all means, Kyle, comment. But if he doesn't want to, that's fine too. Okay.
Well, yeah, I think it's that personal relationship, and a lot more. Some people are much more distant from God, to the point that that's just what they see. They just don't see God whatsoever, or they're trying not to look at. I can't explain everything. All I can do is speak for myself and my own experiences. And with my own experiences, there's just certain things that I just can't deny that I've experienced.
Okay. Well, perhaps sometime we can actually arrange a chat about something like that. Tonight's probably not the time, because as I said, I particularly asked Kyle because I was interested in any effect or basis his flat Earth beliefs have based on his religion or religion in general, which he kindly agreed to do. The other super chat was from Second Best Bob, also for £5. Kyle seems really nice, but please ask him about photos of the globe Earth. CGI? Question mark. So what about all those photos from the ISS and Apollo missions and other space missions? How do you react to those?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of them are very much CGI. I've got a lot of videos about that. Got another one coming out really soon that is going to be talking about Earth in space, and that is right out of the textbook Modern Earth Science.
Can I ask you what you would think of as CGI? What does CGI mean to you?
Well, I understand that back in those days they didn't have Photoshop back in the 60s and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so
Definitely.
CGI is just manipulated. It's just fake. CGI actually stands for computer generated image, but in this instance, it's just a false image. That's really what it means.
But you know that for the very early images, there's literally negatives. Film negatives, so they're not altered. I mean, I know you can do things with exposure and developing and so on like that, but the original negatives still exist. They're physical things, not manipulated.
They lost all of that, all of the original photos and footage of the moon.
There was a bunch that was lost. That is true. Which, to be honest, is gobsmackingly bad, isn't it? But
like,
what about the fact you
doing some reading about that? It was like 21,000 rolls of footage. of like, what? And so that right there was really strong evidence for a lot of people that whole moon landing was fake. You can't lose that much footage.
Well, sorry, I think I must have missed a super chat. I can see, but I don't know where it came from. I'm just going to refresh this. But what about things like the fact that you can, I looked at it this afternoon actually, high definition, 24-hour a day video from the International Space Station. Oh, there is another couple of super chats. General E. Shady, again, $2 Australian. Globe fact. All science equals globe. Grow up, Kyle. Fa-fa-sa. People can work out what FFS. So I think reading between the lines, General Shade is basically saying it's a globe and you need to grow up, Kyle. Okay. And Judy Bassett, thank you, Judy, super chatted €7 and said nothing at all. So thank you very much for the kind super chat, Judy. That's much appreciated. Sorry, I was just asking you about the ISS 24-hour footage now, because before they used to switch it off on the nighttime pass because it wouldn't show anything, but the new camera or newer camera does, and you can see the lights of the cities.
Huh?
Have you ever seen the ISS, Kyle?
I've seen different footage on YouTube of people saying, "Oh, well, it's going over the moon," and you can see stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, have you ever gone out into your garden, looked up at the right time, and seen it go over?
No, I'm not really much of a stargazer, and I wouldn't be able to point out exactly every single satellite that passes over my head.
No, but I'll tell you what.
But I've definitely seen plenty of blinking lights flying through the sky.
Well, I'm going to really, really recommend you do. You can use there's many websites, but the one I tend to use just for historical reasons is Heavens Above. It's called, and you can put in your latitude, longitude, or even search with your town. And then it will show you tables of when the various satellites, including the ISS, are going to go over, the exact time it will start going over and be visible, the exact time it will go into the shadow, the exact direction you need to look, and height above the horizon. And that's days and days in advance. And then you can go out there, stare in the right direction, and believe me, when it goes over, you will know it. It's very bright. It varies depending on the angle and that, but it's very bright generally, and very, very steady, and a constant movement. There is no mistaking it for anything else. It's quite stunning. But you're quite right. There are videos. Jeranism did one of the International Space Station either transiting the moon or the sun, and he actually got beautiful footage that even showed the shape of the ISS, including the solar panels. And then he basically then denied what he had filmed with his camera, which was a shame, really, because he'd done all the hard work and then just ignored the results.
I think there's a lot of evidence suggesting that the ISS is up there, such as being able to see something going by in the sky. There's a lot of evidence out there, but that evidence doesn't negate the evidence against the ISS being falsified. Does that make sense? There's evidence going both ways.
What's the evidence?
It's fake and evidence saying it's real.
What would be the evidence against then?
The evidence against it being fake?
The evidence that it is fake, the evidence that it's not there, or that it's not real, or what is the evidence against the ISS being real? Do you know any?
Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of it out there, such as we see astronauts phasing in and out of objects. I really like the one where we see.
You're talking about film on the ISS.
There's the film on the ISS, such as Chris Hadfield brushing his teeth, and while they speed him up, there's a little object in the room that's floating around that's going at normal speed. That's not getting sped up, but he's getting sped up, and so what's going on?
Okay, well,
so there's a lot of little instances like that just kind of stack up, saying that these astronauts are not really on the ISS.
But I could actually, I'm going to disagree, but I could actually say, I see where you're coming from. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that all that footage of astronauts on the ISS is faked. Let me give you that. So what is it that will go over at predicted times, potentially every 90 minutes, that if you see it in front of the moon or the sun, has the shape of the ISS? Before the ISS was launched, it was never ever seen. And I've even shown photos, because I did an ISS video, which I filmed the ISS going over with my phone, with this very phone I've got here. I included photos on that video of the ISS in various stages of construction as seen from the Earth, so that when it transited the moon and partly built, you could see it as a part-built station, and then months or years later with another transit, it's changed shape. Basically, it's a man-made object. Even if all that footage that we see was fake for whatever reason. I would love you to see it, actually, Kyle. I really would.
Well, I really don't doubt that we see something up there in the sky
Okay.
that passes over us. And so that much, I don't really doubt that. I'm
Okay.
not going to say that doesn't exist. And so here we've got evidence going both ways. We see something in the sky, but there's evidence suggesting the astronauts aren't really on something in the sky. And so does that make sense? We've got the two things. And so maybe there is something up there, but the astronauts just aren't on it.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
a lot
So
of different little
I mean-
holes that I'm trying to fill in.
I gave you that about the astronauts just for because I wondered about the physical thing. You're sort of saying that there is a physical thing, so I guess we then move on and say, right, what about the filming on it and from it? That'd be interesting. Yeah, I would like to hook up with you about that sometime, Carl, and maybe we can sort out a viewing of it. That would be interesting. See, so you actually see it, because even if you still didn't believe that it is manned, just seeing it is quite astonishing, and it's actually very, very straightforward to see. So I'd really, really recommend it. If anyone hasn't, do it. It's definitely worth it.
I'm pretty sure I saw Jaronism's video on that, and so I was like, yeah, that definitely looks like it's got the right ISS shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the question is, are the astronauts really on it? And so
Yeah, well, okay. Like I said, you could say, well, it's a man-made satellite of some sort or other, but not manned. I could understand if someone gave that as an argument. I'd still think they were wrong, but I could understand that. But unfortunately, what Cheronism did is he used the one website or another to predict the exact location, exact time. He had his fancy camera. He had it all set up. He went there at the right date and time. He filmed it, saw something that's ISS shaped, and then said, "No, it's not the ISS." So that was a bit odd for me. I think I've got another super chat, and someone actually asked a comment just before I read the super chat. They said, my apologies, it was someone just threw in a comment. They asked me to ask Kyle, is there anything that perhaps most flat earthers agree on that you don't? Is there an aspect of flat earth, for instance, do you think there is no ice wall or no dome or whatever? I don't know the details of your beliefs. Is there something that you think they're just wrong on?
got a couple of them. I'm sorry, I can't think of any
Okay.
like right on the spot.
Okay, well,
That
I'm
kind of
not.
differentiates my views versus their views.
Yeah,
There's a couple of them. Yeah. I've got them on my debate board, and I don't know, just kind of looking around on there, but I just can't think of any of them like right off the top of my
Okay,
head.
well, if they pop to mind, let us know. Okay. General E. Shady super chat again. Thank you, General. $2 Australian. I think it's his arguments for the globe Earth.
Oh, thought of one.
Meteorites, tides, two celestial poles, satellites. Those are all toughies for flat earthers. You said you got one. What was one of your ones then?
All right. So I actually want to do a video series about the argument graveyard. And so that's a bunch of the failed arguments that flat earthers have made, or just, it could even be globe earthers have made, just a bunch of failed arguments that people shouldn't be making. And so one of those that I haven't done a video yet, or I haven't even thrown it in the graveyard yet, is the whole pumping water on a basketball thing. It's just water sticks to a ball.
Okay, stupid arguments that nobody should make, basically.
Yeah, and so flat earthers make that argument, and I don't like it when they make that. I know Nathan Thompson, he does that in his pamphlet, and I'm like, guys, don't make that argument. It's so you don't see that anywhere in any of my curriculum there, because it's just misrepresenting the globe Earth. I was like, guys, there's got to be a force that keeps that water going. It's putting it in motion, and it's got to keep it going. Yeah, to not stick to the ball. And so the globe Earth, obviously, the globe Earth has gravity, and so it's all going to stick to the ball there. And so we can't just point fingers at the globe Earth and misrepresent their model.
No, that's true. I will read you a super chat from Wade Watts for £4.99. Thank you, Wade. Says, one clip from a mission shows a feather and hammer falling at the same time. If that's not on the moon, how did they fake that? Any idea? Or have you not seen it? Or
sorry, you kind of cut out.
Oh, sorry. One clip from a mission shows a feather and a hammer falling at the same time. Well, it's actually at the same rate. If that's not on the moon, how did they fake that? I think you can actually do that. You could just do that in a... Sorry, Carl.
The feather and the hammer clip was taken on the moon, or is it taken on the ISS?
Well, it would have to be on the moon, because on the ISS they just both hang around. Yeah, it was on the moon. But you could also do that in a vacuum chamber, couldn't you? So I don't, to be fair, I don't think it has to be
Yeah.
on the moon. It just has to be in a damn good vacuum.
Haven't seen the clip of the hammer and the feather, but I'll have to look it up. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, because I think it was
Look into.
it was one of the Apollo missions. So you know what the quality of the film was like there. Yeah, I mean it's going to be. It was with physical film, and it was back in the very late 60s, early 70s. Things have moved on. It would be interesting to see, and I'm so looking forward to when we go back, seeing stuff like that done again with good filming. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Very. So, Kyle, let's say I said, here you go, Kyle, here's my best evidence, okay, for globe Earth, and you looked at it and you thought, you know what, he's absolutely right, I can't debunk that, okay? So now you know he's right, it's a globe Earth. How do you think you'd respond? Do you think you'd be glad that you had now understood or accepted or were shown it was a globe Earth? Would you be upset? Would you try and hide it? How would it affect you, do you think?
I think I'll just come forth and just say it. Just admit it. Say, hey guys, this evidence is, really strong, and just if I was wrong, I'd say that.
Yeah.
And then after that, I would probably just move on. Just because one thing ended up being one thing doesn't mean I can't go on with the other things. And so, okay, if the Earth was a globe, there's still a million other things I can point at in the textbook I've been reading.
Okay.
And I've been doing
Okay,
that.
yeah.
And so,
well, I must admit, I don't know if
I've got so many other things to talk about. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, I understand absolutely. Have you heard of a guy, Seek Truth, Speak Truth?
I've definitely heard of him.
Because he was a flat earther who now understands or accepts that the Earth is a globe, and so he basically stood up and said, I was wrong, it's a globe. And I tell you what, he got so much support from the globe community. No one's knocking him for the belief he had, because any of us could be wrong about anything. Not be funny, like you were about that image crunching. You stepped up to the plate, said I was wrong about that. That's fine, and you're getting kudos for that. And people say, yeah, good on you, Kyle. That's what you need to do. Absolutely. Now maybe. I mean, I'll be honest and say I don't know what, but maybe you could evidence something that's going to make me think, do you know what? I can't explain that, and nothing counters that, and he's absolutely right. And I would have to step forward and say, Carl, you're right, this aspect of the flat Earth. And trying to be honest with myself, that would be a bitter pill to swallow. It would. That's a tough thing to do. But I would hope that under those circumstances I could. But it's hard, which is why I have so much respect for people who do it the other way as well.
So if I did find out that the Earth was a globe, there's still so many of the different evidences that I would still have to go forth and explain. Because, like I said in the beginning, one of the things that made it easy for me to become a flat earther was not being able to explain all these different things. And so after, if I were to figure out that the Earth was a globe, I would still have to go and figure out explanations for each of those little points that I just didn't understand before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I've still got all these.
Are you talking about with things to do with going to space, or going to the moon, or the shape of the Earth, or what?
Just all of the above.
All of the above.
There's all these little holes that I have to figure out, and so I don't want to be making like the incredulity fallacy or anything like that, where that doesn't make sense, therefore it's wrong. Because
Yep.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just saying that that doesn't make sense to me. This does make sense to me, and so I'm following the evidence here.
One thing that always interests me, though, is let's pick one aspect of flat Earth, for instance, the setting sun. Okay, and flat Earth has come up with an explanation, whatever that explanation is. I'm not going to argue about it now, whether it's bendy light or perspective or whatever, but they come up with an explanation for it. And as far-fetched as it might be, as far-fetched as it might be, it could potentially explain it if that theory was correct. The problem comes that theory then clashes with all the other things. Do you see what I'm saying? So you might be able to take one aspect of gravity or orbits or sunrise or sunsets or boats going over the horizon or whatever it is, come up with one aspect and come up with an idea that might explain it. Unfortunately, if that was true, then it means other aspects of flat Earth and their explanations couldn't possibly be true because they contradict each other. Have you come across that sort of thing, and how does that gel in your mind?
Yeah, I really haven't found any those contradicting points that you're talking about here with the flat Earth. Anyway, I haven't found, but I'm continually looking for them, and I am waiting for people to look for them and point them out for me. But my biggest issue right now is all the people on the debate board not wanting to stay on topic and just kind of trying to point fingers at me. And so I'm just trying to say, okay, guys, just address the topics that I've said here. I've said this, address that, and encounter the evidence that I presented. And they just end up, oh, well, what about that? And what about that? And it's just like, that.
It might be interesting.
That's a nice argument, but it doesn't depend. Your argument there doesn't eliminate what I've said here. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Well, maybe what we could do, because you've tackled Mage a couple times. Maybe there's something that you think is a particularly good evidence for a flat Earth or against a globe, and maybe I should leave that open to you to choose something, not right here and now, and perhaps do a video about it, and me try and debunk you, or do you know what I mean? Go the other way round. But actually, one of my earliest patrons has just popped in the board with a super chat, Frederic Sigard. Good evening to you, Frederic. Super chatted $5 Canadian, saying, Kyle, flat earthers always say Earth is not a globe. What about actual proof of a flat Earth? Evidence for rather than knocking the globe. And actually, while I'm speaking, Crafty Keeler's also super chatted €5, saying just because you don't understand it, it doesn't mean no one does. It takes years of dedicated study to understand it. Denying it won't help you.
I agree. I'm not trying to make the it's the
whichever
incredulity fallacy. I don't understand it, therefore it's wrong. I'm not saying that at all. And I totally agree with them. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's wrong.
No. So okay, rather than saying the Earth's not a globe because that doesn't make sense, or sorry, I'm not trying to do the same as what you just talked about. The Earth's not a globe because, and this shows that the Earth's not a globe. Okay, so what shape is it? Well, you say it's flat. Evidence for. What would be your best evidence for, do you think?
Well, I think that's the whole point of my whole curriculum with the Flat Earth Institute of Science. Is I got really annoyed of all of these other people. Instead of wanting to even talk about the flat Earth, they'd much rather point fingers at NASA and say, oh, well, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that, you're wrong about that. But they're not building up enough of their own beliefs about why they believe in the things that they believe in. And so I went and I've got a whole series of over, I think, 8 or 9 lessons now, but each lesson has a different part. And so there's lesson 1 parts 1 through 3 or 4, and 2, it just goes on and on. But so it has 9 lessons, but each one has multiple parts in it. Does that make sense? And so I've got all of that laid out, and I did that first because I wanted to say, these are the reasons why I believe the things that I believe, instead of pointing fingers at other people and saying, I believe these things because I believe you're wrong about that. Does that make sense? I'd rather say I believe this because of my own evidences. But I don't have to snuff out someone else's candle in order to say mine is brighter.
No, that's true. Yeah, it's because it's not a candle or what's the word? A dick waving contest, is it? I mean, no. If you're able to evidence X, then by definition, Y is no longer the case, and that's fine. But it would be interesting to know what your one of your biggest beliefs is. And again, I'm not going to hold you to it right here and now, Kyle, because this was more an informal chat, and you very kindly agreed to discuss a more personal side, your religious side, which I was really, really pleased about. But I would
that's
like
my favorite topic, despite what my channel shows.
Oh, okay. Well, perhaps sometime we could do a religious type debate, and I probably would enjoy
Anyone
that.
says anything about religion, my ears perk up. And what? You want to talk about religion?
Okay.
So it's the missionary inside me, I guess.
Well, I'd like to do that sometime. We've probably got about 15 minutes before Bob and his guys come along. So it would be nice to know what one of your best evidences is. At some point, perhaps you could let me know, so that I don't want to just say that's wrong because, but I would much rather look at whatever your best evidence is, explain why I think it's wrong, and what I think the actual correct thing is, and then have a go back and forth on that. With you choosing a topic, because I mean, not being funny, you've gone back and forth with me about Mage, which I've really enjoyed. Oh, pardon me, excuse me. I've really enjoyed.
Fine.
Second best Bob super chatted £5 said, I'm worried Kyle believes all the conspiracy theories. Ask him about chemtrails, vaccines, and 5G. So I guess in a nutshell, what do you think about chemtrails?
I think there's a lot of evidence for them, but yeah, I know that people are trying to figure out more about environmental controls and things like that. There's a lot of
the chemtrails
with
with supposed aircraft dosing the skies with various chemicals. I don't know, to control us and stuff like that. Is that something you think is a possibility, or as a no, or a definite yes, or are you talking?
I definitely think I think it's a huge possibility.
Okay.
Huge possibility.
So what?
So I'm very much for that. And so
Okay.
yeah, I won't say I'm like for all conspiracies. Obviously, aliens aren't really my thing. So.
And I'll tell you what. Well, actually, I'll come back to that in a second. So chemtrails is what? What about vaccines and vaccinations with regard to COVID and that? Are you for, against, or neither?
I am actually very against a lot of vaccines out there. Just learning about what's actually in them, and when I've learned about
Are you talking about the
actual aborted babies in the vaccines, that was really shocking to me. And so I really liked going out and doing my own research on that. And
yeah.
Like, ugh. So
yeah, well, I
it
believe
was really shocking for me on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most pleasant of things, is it? But I believe it's a cell line that's still living from it might be the 1960s or something. A few cells taken.
Yeah.
I'm not commenting about whether it's good or bad, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a petri dish with some growing cells in it now, and I believe that the Catholic Church have basically, I know you're not Catholic, but the Catholic Church have basically said, it's okay, And what about
again,
five?
I think,
sorry, I was going to say, what about 5G?
Our current prophet is he's a doctor, a heart surgeon even, and he actually is for vaccines, but and so there's actually a big rift of a lot of people who are upset with that. It's like, what? And so it can be kind of challenging for a lot of different people out there, with him having one stance and people having their own personal observations and studies looking into the ingredients of what goes into a vaccine. And
well, Carl, I'm not asking you whether you have or have not, or want or do not want children, but if you're in a position that you had children, do you think you would vaccinate?
Oh, I have got 4 children.
Oh, have you? Okay. So did you vaccinate, or was it a difficult decision?
Well, we started out vaccinating our kids, and then after I learned all this, we were like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore, because we actually noticed significant differences with our kids before and after vaccination.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, we're not going to do that until they're actually older, and that way they can tell us exactly what's going on. And I really want to have them have their own opportunity to choose for themselves.
Well, okay, I can see to a certain extent about letting them choose, because, for instance, I mean, with religion, we let our kids choose, because going back, my wife was religious, I was not, so we let the kids choose when they were old enough. But the only issue I can think of, I respect that you're wanting to give them the choice, but all the time that they're not vaccinated, they're at risk. I know that diseases like polio are all but gone, but things like, well, actually I'm not quite sure how it is in America, but certainly here, things like measles, mumps and rubella have come back, and children are suffering again. I'm not going to badger you, Kyle, but I wouldn't want you to be in a position that one of your children, who you didn't consider old enough yet to decide, fell foul of one of those diseases with some of the hideous side effects of them. I don't want you to be, or your child to be, in that position.
I don't think any of us do, and so that's kind of one of the things that we really kind of weigh is, how severe is this whole thing? And they've got the whole COVID thing, but we've already had COVID, so we're all immune to that. So, yeah, if that really ends up being an issue in our neighborhood or community, then we might have a differing opinion about that and say, well, it's just kind of weighing the cost of benefit. Does that make sense? And so
listen,
at the current state,
of course it does, Kyle, because any vaccine, even the safest vaccine, can have side effects. Absolutely. But then you've got to balance the severity of those side effects, the risk of those side effects, against not having a vaccine and getting the disease. I'm a dad. Okay, for me, I'm not at all anti-vaccine, but even so, it's a decision you have to make, and so I have to respect that. But I'm going to give a personal opinion, Kyle. I would beg that you do vaccinate, because the very last thing I would want, as I said, is for one of your children to be ill anyway, but also for you to then live with that knowledge. But I'm not going to mention that anymore, okay? I don't want to harangue you. Cool. This has been another good chat, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can get on quite well. But actually, it does feel in many ways that I'm challenging you all the time about the flat earth, in this case, vaccines or whatever. Is there anything you want to challenge me about? Because I don't want this all to be one way.
Oh, it's fine. I can't think of anything at the moment. If I ever did, I'd let you know.
Oh, okay.
My biggest thing is just, you're more than welcome to comment about like anything. If I make a video, let me know what you think about it. I don't mind that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I ask a lot of questions. I ask the most questions right now in my Modern Earth Science Destroyed series, where there's a lot of things that I don't understand, and I'm open to learning about it. And the book just does a terrible, terrible job at explaining these things. And
I think questions are always a good thing. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. With regard to that book, I think it's a bit. If it's the one that I did a response to your breakdown of the introduction, I think it's very much an introduction book, and it's going to be things just stated rather than explained. I think you pulled that up in your introduction one, sort of saying they're just telling us we should just believe this. You are talking about teaching some, I think it was for about 13-year-olds or something, so I don't know.
Our current lesson right now, we're talking about P waves and S waves, and
good, because that proves the globe.
That's one of the things that they're talking about, and so this whole chapter 2 is what we're in right now, and chapter 2 is all talking about Earth, a unique planet. And so there's a lot of different things out there that are going along that line. So we're talking about gravity in this chapter. We're talking about the P waves and S waves, and I remember.
Sorry, is this a video? There's a whole bunch. Is this a video that you have got out? The one with P waves, or you're working on?
Currently, but it's the one I'm currently working on.
Okay.
So we're talking about.
That'll be interesting. And just to reiterate, Carl, when I do your videos, I'm sure you realise, but my style is to a certain extent to take the mickey out of people. None of it's meant nasty, and I don't swear at people or anything like that. I hope you feel we've got a rapport going on. We're able to talk openly in that, but I'll still take the mickey out of you, but it doesn't mean I don't like you. I'm not being horrible. Okay, excellent. Because that's the last thing I want. I want to say you're wrong. I want to have a bit of a laugh, a gentle prod at you, but I don't want you to be insulted.
I get it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I just had a look, and so far, Dr. Bob hasn't appeared, so we've still got a few more minutes. Oh, a lovely message from Mr. NS Sherlock. Thank you so much for that, NS Sherlock. Do you know what? That's why I run streams like this. What do you think of? I'm going to read this out, Carl. What do you think of this? This guy, NS Sherlock, come on here and said, "Fuck you, sensible, lol." What do you think about that, Kyle?
I don't get him.
No. Yeah. I mean, I just don't see the point. He just got his message deleted. You happen to have had it read out because it's just so silly. But as you can see, I'm chatting with Kyle. If you have flat Earth or other beliefs, I'm happy to talk to anyone really, NS. But just coming in here and swearing is not going to get you anywhere, really. We've all had a laugh at you. There you go. Bye-bye. I don't understand people, Carl. I really don't. Can I just say...
There's some...
Well, sorry, Carl. I'll just say I don't do politics on this channel. And I have no idea, and I don't care what your politics are, Kyle. But I'd just like to say to you, your family, and any out there in the States watching tonight, please, over these next couple of weeks in particular, stay safe, because it doesn't sound like the best of positions your country is in right now, unfortunately, and I hope things sort out soon.
Yeah, it's crazy times we live in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch, though. I remember in history, I learned about the Civil War, and they'd talk about different families who would go up and do picnics up on the mountainside and watch the war happening beneath them, and just do their picnic and watching people blow each other up. And yeah, it was interesting times. And I think that's kind of how I kind of view myself right now, is I'm up here on the mountainside eating popcorn, watching the fighting down below.
Well, I hope it doesn't get to anything like that, Kyle. It's scary.
Yeah,
I mean, I've only been to the States once. I went to Arizona for just over 2 weeks, and I absolutely loved it. Got no problems with Americans. So friendly. Yeah, it's very different. I pulled up in the middle of nowhere at a ranch because I was lost and I was trying to get directions to a gas station. And I just pulled it here. In the UK, you'd pull up and say, "Oh, excuse me, can you tell me which is the way to the petrol station?" But as I got out of the car, this guy had he's obviously doing stuff with a horse, his horse's hoof. And he was holding a knife about 8-9 inches long, and he ran his fingers up and down. "Yeah, what do you want?" I thought, "Oh, don't shoot me." It's very difficult. But I loved it, absolutely loved it. So it's just so upsetting, and I really, really feel for you all, whichever side. Currently, it's a scary situation.
You've got a good American accent when you want to.
Well, when I was there, Kyle, the number of times people said, "Oh, I love your Australian accent." What? I'm not Australian. Oh dear. I don't want you to dox yourself, Kyle, but are you from the, if you want to say, are you from the Utah area? Is it Salt Lake City?
I'm down in southern Utah.
It is.
I don't live very far away from the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, no, it's a Grand Canyon I went to. Oh man, that was amazing.
Oh yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Did you go to the dry side or the green side?
It was the southern side. I don't know.
Okay, probably the dry side. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went to
the northern side is really, really green, full of forests. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I just had a super chat from Mr. Dan Rocketman. What a cool name. I wonder if he's a spaceman. Dan Rocketman for $4.99. Thank you, Dan. Saying, thanks to Kyle for coming on the show and sharing with us. Good job to both you and Mr. Sensible. Thank you, Dan. And I'm sure Kyle feels the same way. Yeah, thank you. I went to Grand Canyon National Park. I went to the IMAX cinema to see a film about it first because I'd never been to an IMAX. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, that's stunning. Then I drove up to the canyon edge and I deliberately didn't look, got out the car, kept looking at the ground, walked out onto the promontory, then looked up and I couldn't speak. With that laid out in front of me, I could not speak. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think it has an effect on people.
Yeah. Oh, Gary Arnold White just super chatted £2 saying these are great shows. More please, Mr. S. Well, thank you, but I've got to be fair. All credit. I could not have had this discussion with Kyle without Kyle. So thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Well, it's nice to be able to talk about this sort of stuff. I did want to get to a bit of the views behind. I did. Sorry, beg your pardon, Kyle. I did see a super chat earlier on. I was going to read it out, and then it got sort of knocked aside. I apologise. Bill Schofield super chatted $4.99, saying doing a bit of stargazing proves the globe. Maybe that's a hobby you should look into, Kyle. You can do it with a pair of binoculars. You don't need expensive telescopes or anything.
I've got a P1000. Yeah, that was one of the big things I wanted to do, is actually go out and take videos of stars with it. And I've done that with a few stars. Please
tell me though, Carl. Carl, please tell me you don't have those shots with it all out of focus and blurry though, do you?
Well, there's one that I fully acknowledge is totally out of focus, and I just talked about that one in my last Modern Earth Science Destroyed video, where I looked at the star and I noticed that it was continually changing in color. And whether it's focus or out of focus, doesn't matter. What I was focusing on was the color and so it wasn't a consistent color, and that had to do with redshift that I was talking about, because redshift is saying, okay, well, the star's coming out and it's this color, and so I've had a lot of questions about that. It's
I think that's
that color.
I don't
continually shifting colors.
I don't think what you're talking about is redshift, but perhaps we could actually hook up about that if that's what you're interested in. But the reason I'm jumping in now is Dr. Bob, the science guy, has arrived. Kyle, hopefully, will you stay in the room when I bring in Bob?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get to know him better.
Excellent. Well, he's a nice guy. So let's bring
We've
in.
been kind of off to a rough start here, and I'd like to fix that.
Oh, what, with Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can. Right, I'll bring in Bob. And hello, good evening, Dr. Bob, the science guy. How the hell are you, sir?
Not too bad there, Mr. Sensible. I'm just trying to get everything together for this last-minute stream here.
Conan said your audio was spot on, and it certainly sounds it to me. And we have in the room here with me, as I'm sure you're aware, Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle is Dr.
Carl.
Bob.
How are you, Carl?
It's Kyle, not Carl.
Oh, Kyle.
That's my limey accent.
Well, we can get by with that.
But
I can deal with limeys once in a while. You're our cousins across the pond.
Yeah.
You're the one that keep us, try and temper us to some extent.
Well, I know that you've got a particular topic you want to cover tonight. I haven't sort of really spoken to Kyle about it, other than to say we're not really talking about flat Earth v globe Earth per se, are we?
No, we're not really doing that at all. We're talking about decency in conversation and debate.
Which is exactly what we have had tonight between myself and Kyle.
Well, Kyle's a good guy.
Yeah, we've had a very nice chat.
Wouldn't expect anything less than Kyle. He's always been quite polite when he's been over on my server.
Well, there we go.
And he's not the type that really has the problem.
No.
Right. The problem has to do with this nonsense that we're seeing in the flat Earth and in other highly charged debates, where people are starting to talk about other people outside the actual topic of discussion, specifically calling people pedophiles and suggesting that they're doing illegal activity, and just making the type of personal attacks that just don't cut it in decent conversation.
They're trying to degrade people's character. It has nothing to do with what they say. They're just, rather than attacking what you're actually saying, they're just trying to attack your character and say, oh, if I can just smear your character, then that's going to smear your argument. But no, that's not the case.
It's kind of a poisoning of the well argument, where you sit down and say, well, somebody's just an absolute muppet, and therefore nothing that they say can be true. Generally, it comes when you're losing an argument. You just suddenly attack the person that is taking you apart, and that's just not cool.
But Bob, it's not even like we're having an argument, you and I, and so I start calling you names, and I question your whether you really had a father and all that sort of thing. Really horrible.
Or know who he is.
Yeah, exactly. That's horrible. That's one thing. But in this case, I think that it's worse than that, in that they're not just trying to upset you; they're trying to shut you down.
Well, they're trying to not only shut down your YouTube channel. What they're trying to do is they're trying to actually attack you and your ability to even make a living. We've gotten some people that, we have people that are teachers, for example, that teach children. And to suggest, because they were kicking your ass in an argument, that somehow they're a pedophile and they're misleading children, or they're a danger to be around children, is just not cool at all.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not cool. And that's something that kind of bothers me a bit.
Can I just ask you, Carl, have you ever been attacked along those sort of lines?
I I get a lot of attacks.
Well, I mean, you're going to get people
I
saying,
haven't
"Kyle,
had
you're a
anyone-
bloody idiot. Kyle, you're an absolute fool." Whatever.
I get
No,
that
that's
all the time.
that.
I haven't had
And so
anyone
do
call
I.
me, like a pedophile or anything like that.
Yeah. Have you ever had anything like that?
I don't know. I get a lot of weird comments about my beard sometimes, and that's about
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I
get a lot of hateful
get comments
and
about my
other
choice of hairstyle, but there you go.
Yeah.
Called adult hair. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having adult hair. I'm working on mine.
And what about you, Bob? Have you had
But-
direct attacks like that then?
Oh God, yes. I've had attacks like that in your stream. You know, I've had people that, you know, question my abilities as a doctor, accuse me of illegal activity, moral turpitude, all sorts of things. And it's just, you know, after a while, you just kind of ignore it.
Yeah.
But still, there are people out there that you never really know. I mean, are these dangerous people? Are they somebody that's going to show up at my office with a gun? Or,
Yeah.
you know...
See, something like that is obviously a bigger risk in the States than it is here. You still run risk of someone coming up and doing something to you, yes. But with a gun, it's a lot less likely, thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, the other issue you run into is I've had people that have threatened to report me to the medical board, and you know, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, all because you know I tear apart one of their arguments, you know, which is kind of what I do.
Well, if you go into an argument, it's because you want to win, but you have to accept that you could lose.
Yes. Yeah,
You know,
there are times if you don't have your act together, you're
and
going
again,
to lose.
if we're having that argument and you totally whip my ass and show me that I'm absolutely wrong, left, right, and centre, then perhaps what I should do is slink off and be a bit quiet for a while and try and learn a bit more and improve my arguments. What I shouldn't do is go and make allegations to you, or make comments about your family, or threaten to dox you, or contact your employers. Or that's got nothing to do with it. I was the one who got into a discussion or argument with you, and I lost. Oh dear, how embarrassing! Life goes on. Move on.
Yeah,
Especially
and you know,
in days
the
like
thing
today,
about
with
it.
the whole White House thing, and or not White House, the Capitol building. You know, one person says a bunch of things, and then all of a sudden, there's that whole big movement, and everyone's on their way to, you know, do terrible things. It's just crazy days we live in, and yeah, when we get into these kind of hateful comments, you really have to be concerned. It's like, guys, that is too far. You know, don't cross that line, please.
So Bob, I've just had a look. Is your live stream actually running? It says waiting for Bob the Science Guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get it fixed here, and you keep talking to me.
Oh, okay. Oh, because I wanted to see what was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, in any event, let's go see if we can do this a little bit different, because for some reason my capture program's not working very well.
Well, do you want us to leave you in the room, but see if you can get it going?
Well, you know, there's a couple of people that are here with me that I think that would be very, very handy to the conversation.
You said you were going to bring some crew. Who have you brought? And I'll bring them into the room.
All right. Well, let's see who we have here. We've got IB Hunter, who's one of my guys. Glass Monster, Harley.
Glass Monster, Harley. Hello, IB, Harley, Glass.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we should have had Socialist Worker Drone here too, but I'm trying to figure out what name he's got. And the Yorn said, is that? I don't know who he's come in as. But the one I really want to bring you in, the one I really want to bring in is Mr. Joe Whip.
Okay, there's Joe. I'll bring in Joe as well. So, guys,
All right,
hello,
Joe. I'll let you guys all introduce yourself.
Just DM BRN on your channel, on your server.
I will.
Well, good evening, guys. Welcome to the channel if you've not been here before.
Gentlemen, this is Mr. Sensible, is a friend of mine from England. Great debunker. He did the Mage experiment, for those of you that don't know him. You've already met a couple of these guys, haven't you? You met IB yet?
Yeah, but he's just run away. He's jumped out the room again. But we got Harley.
He made like a fuck and ran.
We got Harley in here as well. Hello, Harley.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm actually the guy who uploaded your mage video with the overlay on the other channel the other day.
Oh, right, where you did the scrunched version of it over the top.
Yeah, I added this on top of the video of yours, like 3 hours, all 3 hours of it.
Yeah, it takes a while to process, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. I spent my computer spent the whole night doing it.
Yeah, well, I spent about 36 hours rendering the overlays on, and then it failed, but there we go. Anyway, welcome to you, Harley.
Hi.
So have you had any of these attacks on you? I don't know if have you got a channel?
Yeah, I actually got a channel, but I'm not really producing anything. But I was commenting on the other day on Daniel Pratt's videos, and after that I actually saw a couple of guys coming to my channel. I had like some random cat videos of mine, and they start basically attacking me and my cats, and it's
Your
like
cats?
childish. Yeah.
Cats, as in felines, as in pussy cats.
Yes, exactly.
What, like? Here's one I prepared earlier. Oh, let go, Arnold. Attacking one of these? How could they do
Yes.
that? Oh, that's mean.
There's no video cameras. We can't see each other.
Well, you can watch it on the stream, muted. But yeah, Arnold's here. So he's just coming onto the camera now. Yeah, so they attacked you and your cats. That's pathetic. Can I ask about the nature of the attack, Harley?
Jesus.
Well, I don't want to embarrass you or anything like that. But just forget it. That's
No,
fine.
basically, they're like kind of making an argument that you should stick on uploading cat videos and stuff.
Your
So-
stream isn't working, Bob.
No,
Yeah, I know. Give me a second. I'm trying to work on it.
that's a
Nice
shame.
cat, by
isn't it?
the
Give
way.
me a moment.
Thank you. That's Arnold, Slayer of Flurfs. I don't know if you've met him before, Kyle. He's taken on flat earthers and beaten them before now.
Okay.
We had one. I did a cheese experiment, and I had a little model flat earther made from cheese, and Arnold ate him. So there you go. Oh dear.
All right, I'm thinking that this is working now. I should be up and running.
I'm just going
Flat
to.
Earther made it.
Ah, yeah. Oh,
Cheese.
is it? I think it says live. Looks like you're good to go, Bob. Yeah, you're going.
All right.
Reminds me of my
Life
rat that I named
is
Greta.
good. Life is good, man.
Excellent.
So let's go see what we have here.
I had a really cranky rat, and I named her Greta after Greta Thunberg.
Oh dear.
All right, so we're good to go. So give me just a second here, Miss Sensible. All right, hi everyone. Greetings from Northern Michigan. This is Bob the Science Guy. We're joining today Mr. Sensible's chat. He's got a live stream over on his channel, and we'll stick a link up to that in just a minute, or you can watch it there, or you can watch it here. Today we're kind of talking about decency and debate. And, Mr. Sensible is a friend of mine. I've known him for quite some time. He did the mage experiments. And unfortunately, recently he's undergone some personal attacks from individuals in the flat earth that are outside the argument for flat earth. We're dealing with some very serious accusations that have been made. And these are accusations that I've received as well. So it's kind of a personal point to me too. And we're joined by a few people from my Discord and Mr. Sensible's crew. So thank you very much for having us, Mr. Sensible. And
Oh,
we're gonna sit
my
down.
pleasure. I just put a message in my chat saying, "Shall I talk all over his intro?" But
Why
no.
not? You talk all over my setup, so might as well talk all over my intro.
Oh, I thought you were a professional, Bob. I thought you'd come in here, it'd all be tickety-boo, it'd be running, you'd be broadcasting.
Well, I was ready to go, but we
One
had
of
the
those
time
things.
to go there, and then I had a glitch with my window. It just wouldn't come up, so I had to redo it all.
Yeah, it is a bit glitchy, the whole sort of thing. Can I
We've had some issues with Discord lately.
with regard to the topic, I just want to make a couple of things clear. With regard to Nathan Oakley, that was the potential doxing allegation. He was given a chance to apologise. He didn't. Police were involved. It's ended. So I shan't be discussing that any further. As far as I'm concerned, if he doesn't do anything, case closed. Okay, I'm happy to talk about doxing as a general thing, but I'm not going to talk about that anymore. With regard to Riley, Anthony Riley, what he's done is he put a post on his community post after I had an argument with him. He basically accused me of lying. I challenged him. He couldn't prove that I was lying. He ran away, and the next thing was he's posted some link to some wobbly article in the Daily Mail talking about Instagram and emojis of pizza and cheese being linked to flagging people who are pedophiles, and then said how sensible. So it was a very, very thinly veiled slur at me, which he then tried to cover up by saying how sensible to talk about these sort of pedophile traits and get it off of YouTube or something. Kidding nobody. So there we go. And lots of people contacted me because they could read straight between the lines and knew exactly what he was doing, which was having a disgusting mud-flinging attack on me.
Yeah, and that's completely uncalled for. I actually have a YouTube channel that suggests, that uses my name and actually puts up a picture of one of my offices and suggests drugs for sexual favors is the name of the channel. And these things here, it's completely uncalled for.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the reasons that I wanted to bring one of my guests in particular, and that's Mr. Joe Whipp. You recently took some action against somebody that threatened to dox you. Mr. Riley has had a visit from the authorities, and we're still listening to Mr. Riley talk about other people in terms that are just completely inappropriate. So you obviously have a few laws over there in England that deal with these things. And one of the reasons that I wanted to bring one of my guests in, that's Joe Whipp, is he knows a little bit about the laws here in the United States, because we have our laws, of course, come from two sources primarily. One is English common law, and the other is, the Ten Commandments, and which we've here in Michigan managed to manifest into something like 745 individual laws. Because if you're going to go big is our attitude here. But
well, with the
Joe, got the whole defamation thing, though. That's another big law that we've got around in the United States.
Yeah. So Joe, you out there?
I'm here.
There you go. We were talking about this a little bit earlier today. You can't do this in America either, can you?
No, he's in America. Mr. Riley would be skating on very thin ice. Here, you'd have to show that the statement that was made, if you're going to bring an action for defamation, you have to show that it was false, or that it was made without even attempting to determine it was true. So that's number one, and I think he'd be thin ice there.
Actually, Joe, that's interesting. That's almost I would have to prove that his allegation was false rather than him having to prove it was true.
Yes, but when as part of all that, if he basically, he's going to have to show the basis for his assertion.
Yeah.
So, you can use him to prove you can use him to prove your burden to show that it was false, because if he just shoots his mouth off and doesn't know for a fact or do any investigation, then he's toast. You've met your burden to prove.
But we are just to be clear, we are talking US law. I'm in the UK. Riley's in the UK, so none of this actually applies. This is just as a matter of interest.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I did check on one thing, and that's that in the UK, libel or slander is not a criminal offense.
No, that's right. That's civil.
It can be a criminal offense in the United States. It just varies from state to state.
Okay. Yeah, here there is libel and slander, but because it's civil, you have to stump up the money or be prepared to pay to take someone to court. However, there are other offences such as malicious communications and harassment. So if he kept on at me, You know, let's say, just for the sake of argument, he believes he has some evidence against me, then he should go to the authorities. What he shouldn't keep doing is chasing me, because that can be harassment.
Well, that's true. That's very true. The other thing with defamation is opinion is not actionable. It has to be a statement of fact. So if he calls you a fat slob, that's not defamatory. But if he calls you, because that's just an opinion, if he calls you a pedophile, that's a statement of fact. So, and he doesn't have to actually call you a pedophile. If he makes assertions that any reasonable person can read between the lines, and he's asserting that you are a pedophile, that's also defamatory. And the issue he would run into in the U.S., and I think probably in the U.K., is calling someone a pedophile would be defamation per se. So in other words, the benefit to you of that would be you don't have to prove damages. Damages are assumed. In a normal defamation case, you have to show damages. So you'd have to show an injury to your personal reputation, or it cost you money. You lost your job because of, all that kind of stuff. And with what he's accusing or skating around the edges on, you don't have to prove damages. The jury's just can give you whatever they think is to compensate you for your injury.
Yeah, US, which is very different from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the UK, it's probably similar. I think it fits within the four categories that most jurisdictions around the world, a lot of them have this, because a lot of places are based upon English common law.
Yeah, I think I've never sued anyone, but my understanding is that the judge would make the decision on any amounts, and generally it's to cover losses.
Right.
Anything, I forgot what the word is, recompense over and above. I think something different. I don't know. I've never had to get involved with that. Thank goodness. Yeah. But
with an allegation of something that's as severe as calling someone a pedophile, you also run into the issue of punitive damages.
Yeah, that's the word I was trying to think of. Punitive. Yes. Yeah.
And there's no limit on punitive damages.
In the US, I'll tell you what, it's so different. Yeah.
Right.
Now he thinks anyway, he's been very clever, because he has not said, Fred is a pedophile. He has not said that. Okay, he has said, pedophiles are disgusting, and then mentioned Fred, thereby sort of providing some sort of link. What is disgusting, though, is where totally innocent parties have come along and said, hey, Riley, you're attacking Fred, accusing him of this. What's he do? He turns around and said, hey, are you defending pedophiles now? So it's making those people who stood up against his behaviour, he's making them feel attacked just for questioning him. And that's unforgivable as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he's. If I was a acquaintance of him, I would recommend strongly that he stop, because he's skating on very thin ice.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
him also telling other people or accusing other people of defending, someone of the accusing state, he's going to be in trouble for that one too.
Well, yeah, but what you've got to remember, Glass, is he's UK, I'm UK, the offence is UK. Okay, so no American law is involved at all. The only other thing is if YouTube decided to get involved and do anything.
Well, we talked about this a little bit on this morning after we spoke to you, Mr. Sensible.
Sorry, 1 second, Joe. Dr. Bob, you're breaking up very badly. Bob's got some.
Restart your computer, Bob. It's crashed.
It is. Bob, you quite often Dalek on this channel, Bob, but now we can't understand you at all, I'm afraid. You might need a quick reload, like Glass said.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Who was it? Was just saying Joe. You were just saying.
Yes. Well, I think one of the things I think he's relying upon too, is that for you to bring an action against him, you're basically going to dox yourself.
Yes, now that's quite interesting. You saying that. That is quite interesting
Yeah.
because I said I wasn't going to talk about the previous Oakley case, and I don't think I need to. But as part of that, because it was involving my belief that he was looking to dox me, when I spoke to the officer, I actually explained that. Look, is he going to just suddenly get all my details? Because the whole point of this is he was trying to dox me. So the last thing I want to do is hand him all my details. And he said, this is UK, we can actually do something about that so he doesn't get all your details. So
that may be that's in a criminal case, but
true.
If you're going to file a civil case,
yeah. Well, civil's not an option for me anyway.
Yeah, you can't. Well, I guess you can go as Mr. X. I mean, that's been done before, but I think you'd probably have to file a civil lawsuit in your name.
Yeah,
not Mr. Sensible, but whatever your real name is.
Yeah.
So,
well, what if my name really is Mr. Sensible?
Well, it could be.
It could be. But Joe, just to be clear, I'm not in any position. Very few people in this country are in a position to take people to court, civil court, for things like slander and libel and that sort of thing, because it's so hideously expensive. And it's down to you to pay for it. I just want to jump in. I did have a super chat a little while ago from Alex Snow. Thank you, Alex, for $5. I'm not sure where this came in the conversation. Said Tiger Dan plus some number was a flat earther who tried to make a map. I wish I could remember the channel. Was chastised for coming around. Does anyone know who this Tiger Dan was? If so, perhaps they can post some information for Alex Snow in the side chat. Tiger Dan making a flat earth map. I've never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Name rings a bell. I've heard him somewhere before, but I don't know enough about that.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of him. I need to watch out for Dr. Bob turning back up in the waiting room. Otherwise, we're going to carry on his channel without him. I don't know if his stream's still running. Not sure. No, I think it's gone.
I think he's restarting.
Yeah, I know that on occasion I've rebooted my machine and been able to get back in. The stream's still running, but I think that's luck rather than judgment. Never mind. Yes, but did Bob say, Joe, that you have suffered attacks?
No, no, not really. I
Okay.
mean, I don't have a YouTube channel. I just comment and do stuff like this every now and then. I've been called a liar.
Yeah.
By certain people in certain streams when the subject of Antarctica comes up, because I've been there. I spent 2 weeks there in December 2019, just before COVID.
Did you look over the wall, Joe? Did you see what was on the other side of the wall?
I kept looking for the wall, and I just couldn't find it. All I found was a big continent. No walls, and no cell towers, and no penguins with laser eyes. I'm trying to think of what the other stuff people say. And as soon as I point that out in the chat, and someone on the YouTube stream says, "Hey, there's a guy in the blah blah blah," they give my name, and the first thing you hear is, "You're a liar, you're a shill," that kind of stuff. But
I get that all the time.
Yeah, your trial lawyer. You have to have a thick skin to be a trial lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
You had you've had lots of cuddly polar bears you can introduce to the flirts.
That's the Arctic. That's somebody else's job.
Yeah, you're right.
Polar bears down in Antarctica.
But that's quite interesting you saying that. I mean, I was
saying there's no polar bears down in Antarctica.
No,
that is correct.
But I was saying to Mrs. S earlier on this evening, we were just talking, and there are many, I don't know how many, most, I don't know, flat earthers. If you were able to physically take them up into the ISS, point them at a window so that they finally know and really accept and change their minds and say, you're right, this was a globe Earth. They'll go back, put on YouTube, do you know what, guys? They took me up. I can see it. It is a globe Earth. suddenly they'll be turned upon. They're a shill. Everyone will hate them, and that's terrible.
That's the problem.
That's cultish. It's basically, if you're not with us, it's what is it, like the Scientologists and other cults have, that disconnection? Is that what they call it? You were one of us. You aren't any longer. We're not going to speak to you. You're not going to speak to your family anymore. That sort of thing. That's terrible.
That's kind of part of my story with the whole Flat Earth Institute of Science.
Yeah, how's the mic?
I used to be a part of a Facebook group called the Flat Earth Academy, and we had a difference of opinion. They said that the only reason why the sun sets is because of perspective. I'm like, no, that's not the only reason why the sun sets. And I went through and I talked about the atmosphere, and I talked about the firmament, and I talked about all these other things. And just because we had a difference of opinion, all of a sudden, nope, that's it. You're against us, and they just kicked me out and just blocked me. And I was totally flabbergasted over it. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna go do my own thing.
Yeah, and people are sort of saying, some said Jehovah's Witness, some said excommunication, but yet I believe Scientologists have disconnect, I think is their term. Same sort of thing.
Yeah, and Jehovah's Witnesses, they call it shunning.
Yeah, all the same sort of thing.
Shun.
Yes.
And your mic is working super fine now, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, unfortunately my Discord or my stream dumped, so I'm not going to be able to recover that. So I'm just going to get rid of that one, stay over here. I've got a meeting at 6 o'clock that I have to go to here in just a minute anyhow, so it'll probably work out for the best. I'll just kind of stick with you guys for a bit.
Yeah, you can hang around with us till you're ready to go. That's fine.
The important thing I wanted to do is I had a couple of folks from my Discord server that I thought would be really, really helpful.
So have you had any bad attacks then, Bob? Oh, you said about this someone posting pictures of one of your workplaces and stuff like that.
Well, not so much in YouTube, but in some of the things that I do out here where I'm a little bit better known here in Michigan, in the field that I'm in. I've had people publish my home address, send me obscenities, say that they were going to wait until I was up in the Upper Peninsula, and they would come by and say hello and visit with my wife and children.
Is that enough in the States for you to report them, or didn't you know who they were anyway?
Yeah.
It is good.
No. Well, the problem that you run into is I can generally find people. It's not all that difficult. And, what I did was basically, I basically got all of this from them and said, hey, you really need to stop. He goes, well, what are you going to do? So I sent him a photograph of his front door on his personal email. I think you got the point.
And can I just ask you, Bob, Michigan, is that what's the term? Stand your ground state? Is that the right term?
It's not really. No, it's not like that. You generally have a duty to retreat if you're outside. On the other hand, if you're in your own home, you don't have a duty to retreat.
Yeah.
And
see here,
the interesting thing is I went ahead and I bought, we got 2 pit bulls that used to sleep in front of the bedroom door, upstairs, where the bedrooms were. They would sleep in that common area where all the rooms came off of.
Yeah.
And I got my wife a pistol and showed her how to use it, and she actually was pretty good with it. So
don't let Mrs. S have one.
Yeah, we're not really worried about it as much anymore, but it was rather disconcerting the level people would go to simply because they disagreed with an opinion that you had
about the flat Earth.
Yeah, and people were getting arrested for things over here at the time because I work with medical marijuana, and people were getting arrested because they were trying to interpret the law and doing a very bad job of it. If you can't spell opinion, you really shouldn't have one when it comes to a law. But, that actually, people were actually getting in trouble for that, and it was affecting their livelihoods. But you deal with something like flat Earth or moon landing deniers, things like that. that's not something that you really want to start a fight like that over. You don't want to put yourself at legal jeopardy because um, somebody made an argument against something that you hold dear, but doesn't really affect your life. It's just, that's something that always amazed me. It really did.
Just
Well, that would be something
talking about this.
I would report that to the FBI. And
Well, considered it.
it only takes one visit from the FBI for most people to discontinue their conduct.
Yeah.
Getting a visit from your local cops is one thing. The thing in the United States, the smaller the badge, the scarier the police officer. I was sitting in my office one day. A nice young lady came in and said, "Hey, you could help us out. Have you seen any $50 bills lately?" And she held out a wallet of hers that had this tiny little badge that was maybe 1.25 inches long. And, I kind of put my glasses on and looked a little closer, and it says United States Secret Service.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I haven't. But thank you very much for stopping by.
Man.
When you're dealing with folks that, the small, if you're dealing with the small badges, as I call them, that generally tends to get the point across.
Attention.
Get your attention.
Yeah, I've had a couple cases that involved with the FBI involved, and they don't screw around.
No, they do not, and
quite right too. But it's quite interesting, Bob. You're talking about that you've got a duty to retreat outdoors, but not in your home. I mean, here things are just so vague. They write a law and say you can use reasonable force. What is reasonable? What is reasonable?
No, reasonable force has actual definitions. I think Joe will confirm that.
Well, yes, but over here, I think reasonable force has rigidly defined areas of doubt and uncertainty. So I could kill someone coming to my house with reasonable force, but then I would have to show that it was reasonable. For instance, if that person saw me, I don't know, we're holding a poker, and they turned around and ran out, or were running out, if I chased them and hit them from behind and killed them, that would not have been reasonable. But if they were physically attacking me, I grabbed that poker and shoved it through their neck, I could argue that it was reasonable. It was just a hand, it was a reaction to protect myself. But it's horrible that you'd have to go through all that to try and justify it. I mean, after all, this guy's come into my house. But that's how it is here.
But Joe will probably be able to help out a little bit with that, but you have to I think reasonable force is the minimum necessary to end the threat.
Yes, which could be
Well,
killing someone.
It's all about ending the threat.
Yes,
that's as far as you're able to go, is ending the threat.
And Rob Fowler is right. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. Thank you, sir. You win the internet tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's ending the threat. So chasing them down the road is not ending it. You're continuing it. If you've driven them out the house,
retreating.
Yeah,
I would defer.
The question is if you catch somebody breaking into your house, and you draw down on them, and they try and leave, can you shoot them to prevent them from leaving? That's
over here.
A lot of people.
You can't do. I wouldn't think most jurisdictions. I don't think you'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Perhaps you shout out. Perhaps you shout, "Oh, excuse me!" So he turns around, so he's facing you. Then you shoot him in the chest.
Then you shoot him.
You get some weird laws. I remember watching a video a while back about a guy who set a trap in his house because he had a cabin that he just wasn't using, but people would continually break into it. So one day he sets up his shotgun against his the door and sets a booby trap. And so the moment the door comes open, and the trigger goes and boom. And anyways, he shot an intruder's legs off, and he ended up getting thrown in court and ended up being in this huge legal battle for trying to defend his home from intruders.
That's not defending a home. That's a man trap.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not.
That's what he did. So that's why he got in trouble for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
not.
it's amazing.
He's not there. So he's. You
You-
can't do
you-
that.
You could defend
No amount of
yourself-
property is worth taking a life over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could.
All right.
You could defend life, but you cannot defend property.
Yeah.
Or
I would
at
def-
least with a firearm or anything like that. You can defend life, yours or somebody else's, but you can't use it to stop somebody from breaking into your car or anything like that, unless
Yeah.
you are in the car
Yeah. Or your child is.
or your child or somebody
Right.
else even.
Yeah.
I would defer to Hunter on these questions. Hunter knows a good bit about it.
Yeah.
Well, before
But
before
I
he
don't
chips,
want to get
I was
I
gonna
don't
say-
want to get off of Mr. Sensible's thing here. We're not
We
really
don't want to be
talking
getting into all the legalities of Home Alone, right?
yeah, we don't want to get into the
but I've got-
legalities of Home Alone.
I've
Bottom
got-
line on that, call the cops.
yeah.
But
I've got.
But the thing-
Sorry, I've got two quick super chats. General E Shady super chat $2 Australian saying General E Shady option available LMFAO Lumfaya, and Marek Sachek. Oh no, has super chatted 10 Polish zlotys saying just joined and saying hello. Thank you very much for the super chat, Marek, and hello to you too. Yeah, so it's a bit difficult. It's quite interesting seeing the differences between here and the States. Some of it applies, some is very, very different. In this situation with Riley. So what I've basically done is I have drawn a line in the sand. I have made him aware that I know what he's doing. I have pointed out what the potential offences are, and I've told him to stop. Now, if he carries on, that becomes a course of conduct, which is harassment and is actionable under criminal law. So if he's got any sense, he'll think, well, I've got as far as I've got and shut up. If he carries on, he's going to get the rozzers at his door.
yeah. Well, Joe, I think under our libel and slander laws here, don't you have to bring their attention to it and demand they stop? And if
I don't believe so.
Continue,
I don't
or
believe
can they
so.
just say the magic words and that's it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. As long as it's not just said to you personally.
Yeah,
As
because
long as there's publication.
that's
You know,
right,
if
and
it's
that's
just
same.
people.
That's the same here because it says it's harassment if he should have known it's harassing me, or if a quote reasonable person with the same information would regard it as harassment. Well, since a
pretty
whole
much.
since a whole bunch of people contacted me and said, "Hey, Mr. S, Riley's doing this," then reasonable people have obviously picked up and think that it's bad. So the only thing is it a course of conduct? Is he going to carry on? So
Yeah, you can't slander somebody if it's just me and you, Mr. Sensible, talking and there's nobody around.
No.
And we call each other names. That's not slander. It
No.
requires that other people to be aware of what we're doing. And on the internet, you have 7 billion people potentially who are aware of what's being said.
So it's only slander then, like you say, if it's one-on-one, or not slander if it's only a one-on-one.
Right.
Yeah.
No
That's
other
just a bad conversation. But there are a couple other problems that you run into. Sometimes you have to prove damages. Now, if you're a business, in some cases, damages are assumed. But then you have to come to a number. And you have to have some way. For example, say I have a business, Bob the Science Guy. All right. And somebody slanders me, I can't sue them for $1 million unless I can demonstrate somehow that they cost me $1 million.
It depends on what the slander is. So that's why the issue of someone calling someone a pedophile would be slander, would be defamation per se. I don't have to prove damages.
Well, how do you come to an agreement as to what the damages will be then?
Well, I don't have to show as a cause of action. There's like 4 elements of a cause of action, and being able to prove damages is one of them. Okay.
It's kind of hard to put a price tag on your reputation.
Well, that's right.
True.
And that's why when it's something that's heinous, that would fall into one of the 4 categories of defamation per se, you don't have to prove that you lost money or you lost your job or there was an injury to your reputation. That at that point, it's up to the fact finder to decide what they're going to give you in compensation, because the conduct was so heinous to begin with.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't want to be screwing around with those four areas.
Did you discuss what the
Sexually
four
transmitted
causes of action
diseases.
were?
Well, you have
Yeah.
yeah, you have to show the act, you have to show causation, then you have to show basically damages. So that's like, let's say 3 elements, just to make it simple.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't suffer, if it's just a regular, if it's a regular slander, but it doesn't hurt you and you can't prove it hurts you, that's an
Yeah.
element of the cause of action.
But I think
with what we're talking about, you don't have to prove damages.
Yeah, but I think earlier today, weren't we talking about there were 4 things?
Oh yeah, I'd have to look them back up again, but it's
I'm trying to
know,
figure out
it's-
what we did with them.
yeah, one of them was I have them.
Your BC
Oh, here it is.
text and the
Yeah,
Lego.
Mitch put this up because I've seen these before.
Well, just
One
before,
is that it.
sorry, Bob. Just
a
before you
person-
read them, I've had another super chat from Marek again for 25 Polish zlotys saying, with Polish law, you can go to jail if you hurt the person who attacks you, even in your own house. If he, for example, breaks inside and is a threat to you, that's terrible.
That's a bit much.
Yeah.
There are certain places you have a duty to retreat, and then you have places that you shouldn't have a duty to retreat. And we have this little thing in American law. Maybe you've heard of it out there, and that is a man's home is his castle.
Yeah, the castle doctrine. That's what it's good. The
President
castle
McAllister would
doctrine.
not be happy out in Poland.
I want
And
that.
hello, Mr. S.
Hello,
It's
General.
Shady.
Welcome.
But here, though,
Yeah, I've done security and bouncing and bodyguarding in Australia,
Mhm.
and it's quite strange what you can do and what you can't do. For one that I found very funny doing bodyguard work was being an armed bodyguard. We couldn't carry a gun to protect a client. If the client carried jewelry that was worth $100,000, say, we would carry a firearm to protect the jewelry, but not the client.
That's mad.
Ah,
The law is an arse.
Isn't? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Excuse me? You couldn't carry the gun to protect the person, but if they carried a shit ton of money on them, you could protect that. That's
Yes,
that kind of-
absolutely.
interesting.
Absolutely upside down, back to front, and
We
wrong.
are Australia.
Yeah, but it's
So-
upside down, of course.
Yeah, it's upside down, yes. We virtually asked the client, our company directors would ask the client to carry an extremely expensive piece of jewelry or whatever, then we could carry arms. But you still could only protect the jewelry or the arms, not the client.
So, General, if I came along and I started kicking the living daylights out of your client, but happily left the expensive necklace, you couldn't use the gun on me.
No.
No.
Yeah, I know. I could do it then.
But then, as soon as I
I
decide to take the jewelry, you could shoot me.
Yeah,
Well, no,
so
you're
you sort of it went very grey. So you had to protect what they were carrying, but if they're carrying it and you start kicking them, then we presume
That I'm going to take the
You're-
jewelry.
yes.
Okay, fair enough. I won't do
It's
it then.
really
I won't do it.
backwards.
All right.
It's really backwards. How can you not protect a VIP, but protect their watch?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
No,
And I want to
and-
know
and-
who's going
and
to pay
that- and
$100
that's-
grand for a watch.
That's probably why there is a such thing as $100,000 watches.
Ah,
And,
well, in
and
any event,
other thing was if they do, like we have security guard, which is basically a video recorder. Then you have a bouncer, like a pub and a club. Then you have a bodyguard. But if you are doing security in a retail venue, say Kmart, Walmart, whatever you want to call it, if they steal less than $170 worth, it's not worth you actually going and grabbing the person. You're better off letting them go. Because the law, the way the law works, you're better off just letting them run away.
What do you mean?
So
Because
if they pick
because
up
the prosecution, no one would bother prosecuting. Do you mean?
Yeah. If
So
they
what
pick up
you're
a
saying then-
$500 TV, go get them.
Yeah.
Stop them. But you grab the item, you don't grab the person.
That just doesn't.
It's so backwards, it's ridiculous.
What you're
Upside
saying,
down.
what you're saying, I could go run out of the store with a $100 ghetto blaster, and no one's going to say anything.
No,
Effectively.
we're virtually not going to stop you.
So if it
I
was
mean,
something really
me-
expensive, General, could you just make
I'm going to put you down.
could you just make lots
But
of trips?
generally, I'll get in trouble for it.
Could I just run in about a dozen times and steal it a bit at a time?
Yeah.
That would be the way to go. But in any event,
And the other thing is doing security work, being a bouncer in pubs and clubs. I've worked in the hardest Queensland pubs and clubs. The day after I got my license, because I'd done it years ago, they put me straight back in. I'm older now. I was working pubs and clubs before I was actually legal to even enter a pub and club. I was 17 and I started bouncing pubs and clubs. You had to be 18 to even go there. I started back in there again later, and with my background, they put me into the hardest: Logan, Beenleigh, Browns Plains, Callan Vale. These are the hardest places in southeast Queensland. But because of my background, I was there within a day of getting my license. But if someone steps up and throws punches at you, you're not allowed to hit them back. You have to restrain them. You can't even push them or shunt them away without grabbing hold of them and controlling them to the ground. Because if you push them and they fall backward and hit their head, I'm liable because I'm responsible for their well-being. They are a patron. They are a patron of the club, and I'm responsible for their well-being. So they can throw punches, kick, pull a knife, anything they want on me, but I'm in control of their person.
General,
So if I push them,
you're doing the wrong job.
no, I left. I'm out of it. I do a little bit of private work now, but I'm out of it because I was getting $23 an hour. 26 on a weekend, which is in Australia, that's pittance. I made more money during the Commonwealth Games guarding 2 water towers from terrorist attacks, and I was getting $49 an hour for a 12-hour shift.
Wow.
Well,
So
General, it sounds like I should make a call to some people. We can bring you to Washington for an event in a few days.
Yeah, we'll get your people to call his people. Okay, people?
I can be there.
Well, guys, let me.
If it-
I've got to go here in just a second for my other meeting, but here are the 4 indications for defamation per se, and maybe this will be a nice start off to the next part of the conversation. Indication number 1 is indications that a person was involved in criminal activity. If you're going to accuse somebody of a crime as a private individual, you need to be able to prove it pretty much. Indication that a person had a loathsome, contagious, or infectious disease. All right. Indications that a person was unchaste or engaged in sexual misconduct. And the last one is indication a person was involved in behavior that is incompatible with the proper conduct of his business, trade, or profession. So calling a teacher a pedophile or suggesting that they had a sexually transmitted disease, which they obtained through the services of prostitutes. These are things that would be a good basis for a slander and a libel suit. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
But
No, I
back it
agree.
up or
that's why you
get buried.
Well, that's why you don't have to prove you don't have to prove damages in a case like that.
Right.
Those damages are presumed because the allegations are so heinous that the law is going to say, okay, well, that's so bad. You don't have to prove you sustained the financial injury. That's going to be presumed.
Yeah. But
Excellent.
these are the things,
Yeah.
and you see how these come into play in some of these debates, and why the decorum of debates or the inappropriate behavior in debates actually can cause a problem. And you may think that because you've got a screen name out here, you can't be found. You can be.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
No doubt about that.
People can find you.
Well, so far we've had two cases that needed dealing with. We had the original Mr. Riley with his disablest hate speech. I was the target of that. I think you were, Bob, and quite a few other creators were as well. We found out where he lived, and the police dealt with him. And then, of course,
Well, he
Mr.
suggested I should be shot.
Well,
Sorry?
Riley did.
Yeah, he did. Riley personally suggested that I should be shot for misleading people.
See, that is a definite offence. That is a definite offence in and of itself here, Bob. That is threats to kill. Simple as.
Yeah.
Threats to kill.
But, the way I look at it, he's English. That means which end of the gun the bullet comes out of. Much Plus, there's a whole ocean between us, and quite frankly, when the zombies show up, you want to come to my house, gentlemen. So I wasn't all that worried.
He doesn't believe in Coriolis, so he'll miss you by about 400 times.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I mean, things like this happen, and there's no reason for it. And the question is, should we start calling them out on it?
Sorry,
yeah, I think
The
so.
one person I can't find anything on is Shills. He has said some very nasty things,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not been happy with what he's saying.
Well, then you just talk
he
to
says
YouTube about it.
disgusting things.
No,
The problem that you run into is that YouTube inevitably, and this is what they hide behind, YouTube will not enforce these things. They will not enforce their terms of service.
No.
And I've got one, like I said, that names me individually, suggests one of these, several of these things, puts up a photograph of my business and the address of my business. And they said didn't violate the terms of service.
Well, I would suggest to General that if he's that concerned about something that Shills, I guess you're talking about Shills versus Shills.
Yeah.
Whatever your version of the FBI is in Australia, I can assure you that they can find out who he is.
I have an uncle.
Guys, I got to run.
Okay,
But
Bob.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, Bob,
I'll-
my pleasure. It's unfortunate that it had those issues with the stream. Maybe we can try again some other time.
Yeah, we shall. But I was able to get on yours.
Yeah,
but
always welcome.
I'll leave the merry band here because I think they'll probably contribute to this conversation.
That's an interesting chat, and it makes a change from the usual stuff.
Yep. All right. Take care,
if
Jess.
if I
The
may,
more
Bob.
angry they get, the more.
Yes, sir.
The more. Sorry, I'm just saying.
If
the
I
more
may, Bob,
angry
just
people
drop me email on all smalls, generally shady, one word,
Mm-hmm.
gmail.com.
Gotcha.
Just drop
All
me a
right,
quick message.
You got dots between the E, surrounding the E?
No, just all small, generally shady, one word, at
Gotcha.
gmail.com.
All right. I'll drop you a note later on.
Cheers.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Ciao.
Bob. Take care. And we got Brainy Beaver in the side chat. Hello, good evening, Brainy. Not so bad, thank you, my friend. Yeah,
The more angry people get, just the deeper the hole they dig themselves.
I think that's true,
think,
Kyle.
oh, yeah, arguments should not be about who can throw the worst dirt at the other person, and it shouldn't just be a insulting contest or anything like that, or a roast fest, as some people call it.
Well, yeah, if you can't address the issues and you can only attack the person, you've lost the argument.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we all call each other idiots or fools or whatever, and that goes.
You
with
need a
the
thick
game,
skin.
but
You need a thick skin, don't you?
You don't throw nasty stuff.
Now, if you're doing a YouTube channel and you're challenging some of these conspiracy theorist types, which the flat earthers, unfortunately, I mean, the Illuminati and all this crap, hiding stuff, you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah, thick skin, yes.
Yeah, but the problem is with certain.
Happens on both sides.
Yeah, of course
Yeah,
it does, Carl. You're absolutely right.
I won't
Yeah.
go. I won't go back to fight the flat Earth, and I won't debate him because that's what he wants to do. He wants to throw dirt at me. I'm like, come on.
Although to be fair,
Address the things I say. Don't be attacking my character. Don't be attacking my personality. If you're gonna keep dropping it and losing your temper, I'm not gonna do that. That's not the kind of debate I want.
It's fairly obvious, Kyle. You're a nice guy. Like,
thank you.
we don't
Seems
agree
to be.
on things, but you're a nice guy.
Yeah, the
Thank
problem I have with those things is when people start, shut up and I mean, yeah, I can't put up with that. Life's too short.
Someday,
I'll
Kyle,
watch
we gotta
something
hop on.
else.
Someday, Kyle, we gotta hop on one of my VCs and have a yap.
I mean, there are different channels. I mean, there are some that stick purely to the science and very, very polite and absolute perfect debate. There's others I'm a bit more laugh a bit about it and take the mickey gently and some very basic science because I'm not a scientist. And you get right through to people who want to rip you to pieces. However, what I would say, Carl, I agree that Fight the Flat Earth is a tough one for people on your side to deal with. Absolutely. But he would not consider attacking you along the lines of doxing or allegations of pedophilia or anything like that.
I don't think he would do that.
No, there's no way he would.
No, he would not.
But I do
No,
agree.
there's-
I agree and
No,
accept that
well,
he'd be a
it's hard
tough.
that way because
He'd be a tough
No,
one to deal with, and I understand why you wouldn't want to go on there. I do understand that. Yeah.
Scrawny Jabrani was a flat earther. He was really active for a while until someone walked into his work and stabbed him, and then afterwards he got fired because his work decided, "Oh, you're too dangerous to have in our working environment." He's like, "I didn't hurt anyone." It was like a complete stranger who just walks into his work and stabs him. And
Wasn't me, didn't do it, can't prove anything.
Security risk.
Absolutely, that sort of thing's terrible. It goes without saying, I hope.
No, that's bad.
And so
No,
we've
but
lost him.
Even
as a flat earther.
did you watch FTFE last night? His last video with the African guy.
No.
You're talking about?
FTFE had a flirt come on, an African dude from Zambia, or
I didn't see it.
So what happened?
I
most
don't really
of
follow
us,
his channel or
most
anything
of
like
us
that.
were actually quite sorry for the guy. He's obviously, where he comes from is third world. He's not very educated, highly religious as they are. I can't say it any other way. He wasn't very smart.
Yeah.
He's been religiously brainwashed. And he came on with evidence that was utterly nothing. Red's got on there and went for a 10-minute yarn with all his information, and this guy just turned around and did the whole nuh-uh, but it wasn't a stupid nuh-uh, it was just a brainwashed nuh-uh. I don't know how else to say it. You've got to go and watch the stream. It was terrible.
Just as an aside, really sort of letting you know, Carl, someone's put it out in the chat and they're absolutely right. Fight will generally have a very civilised debate with people if the other side is being civilised back to him, but as soon as they're not, then he yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and everything on that stream was very, very civil. Very civil.
So basically, it wasn't really a debate. The guy didn't really have anything.
With Fight the Flat Earth, he had intentions. Like, he invited me to go back, and I'm like, I'll go back so long as we can keep things civil. And then off in the distance, in another video, he actually told his intentions. Okay, well, I'm going to start out civil, and then I'm just going to slam him, and I'm going to try and get him to rage quit on me. I'm like,
Okay.
that's your intentions. I'm not even going to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's the point where
That's stupid.
I go somewhere else.
Well, I'd say, Carl, that I can totally understand that. I'm not going to comment on Fight or Bob or any other debater, debunker. We've all got different styles and techniques. I'm not going to, as long as it's not things like, let's say one of these people was trying to dox you or making those sort of foul allegations, I would stand up against them doing that, and I'm hoping, I'm sure that anyone else would.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I would.
Yeah, and Carl's a nice
going way
dude.
too far.
Anyone that tried that's wrong.
And Rob Fowler's just asked, what is Carl's channel? The link to Carl's channel is in the description below, along with Bob's. Okay.
It's just my name. You can just type in Kyle Adams Flat Earth, and there I am. So.
I would suggest, though, to Kyle, that people have to realize, not just you, but people in general who are doing YouTube stuff or internet stuff on controversial subjects that get some sort of publicity, that if you're not self-employed, that employers do not want to have to deal with all the other stuff they have to deal with, especially today.
Of course, and why should
worry
they?
Worry about what some employees doing on YouTube. They're just going to get rid of you. And
it's a tough world we live in. Yeah,
I know. You have to keep that in mind.
That's why
doing stuff.
That's why Level Earth Observer has been put up in a crane. He used to be a rigger on the ground, but everyone just got the shits. Now they've stuck him up on the tower.
Oh man.
Now,
my
I've had
family
a
They
lot
blow
of-
wants to do it
whistles.
as
They just
self-employed
blow
as
whistles
possible.
at him now. They don't have to listen.
Well, I've had a lot of discussions with flat earthers, and it usually starts off fairly confrontational. I try to stay calm, and a lot. I'm going to say sometimes they'll actually calm down, and we can actually have a conversation. And it's turned into some fairly good ones. I've had some pretty long-term conversations with several of them. I just recently had one do a video trying to. He said all of the astrophotography on my YouTube channel is all fake. I get it all from NASA. So I took that as a compliment. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Well,
But,
where else do we get it from? We all get paid for it. Where else do we get it from?
Well, yeah, of course. It didn't come from the telescope in my backyard. But
Well, I'm building my own ISS from balsa wood and expanded polystyrene.
You gonna throw it in your pool?
I'm just going to get a shed load of balloons and get it up there.
Yeah. But I've had some good discussions with several of them, and I've been able. Most of them are unwilling to do anything for themselves to test what they believe, and I have been able to get them to actually do a test, to actually try to do something, and a couple of them I've actually got them to actually photograph nebula and stuff like that, and they didn't think nebula existed or galaxies, or not the way NASA sees it. But I showed them how to do that, and got them to do it for themselves. Or there's a lot of experiments that I've taught people how to do, like how to track a GPS satellite as it passes over your head, by using nothing more than a pot or a pan.
Oh wow!
Just blocking out the signal. It's locked into a half dozen satellites at any point. You could block out the signal from any one of them, and then track that satellite as it passes over your head. There's a ton of different little experiments, but they usually are not willing to try that, or don't understand how to do it. And more importantly, they don't understand that the average person can do these things. They think that it's beyond them, and it's beyond anybody else also. So nobody can refute this stuff.
That's lazy.
And it's just not true.
It is lazy. It's also quite sad, because there's some amazing things you can do, isn't there? really fun, especially not be fun if you've got kids that are of a certain age. You can do these things with them. I mean, I went. Okay, they're older, but I took one of my daughters when I filmed the ISS. She loved it. It's just it's a joyful thing to learn.
I know a guy who put up a weather balloon really, really high.
Yeah, and I had I had no idea. To be fair, I had no idea that Joe Public could do something like that. But I went and found out, and then I was fortunate enough to hook up with Q, who has done it numerous times. But yeah, I found out that you could do it, and so I was going for it.
Usually, all it takes is a little effort, a little effort, a little bit of learning, and you could figure out stuff you could do yourself.
But then you hit the other
things. Those are the things I'm always trying to look for and encourage people to do: is go test it for yourselves and figure things out. And so I actually like to present a lot of little experiments that people can do for themselves to put things to the test. That's my whole theme. Put your world to the test.
You do realize, Kyle, that you're eventually going to become a globe earther, don't you?
We'll see.
That's my plan, Kyle.
You've got quite a ways to go.
You do realize.
I'm sorry. The simplest thing to do is to measure the azimuth of sunrise and sunset, and see how it matches, if it matches with one model or the other.
Look how Big Blue got to that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Big Blue got that guy. I talked to that guy on personal chat at least 2 or 3 times, and he was actually quite good for the first half hour, and then he just went downhill. And denied, and that's what gets me. Deny.
At least you got a good half hour out of him, though, General.
A few times.
Well, Kyle, I've just sent you a link, Kyle, to that website, heavensabove.com, straight to the select location page. A bit further on down the page, you can put in the name of your city, Salt Lake City or whatever it is, and then you can look up when the ISS is going over. Now, it might be that it's not coming over at a convenient time for you, when it's dark or whatever, evening for a while, but it will tell you when, and you can look for the ones with the lowest magnitude, minus 4 point something, and go out and have a look. Honestly, just do it, just for this, even if you don't tell anyone else. Go out and have a look. It's an amazing thing. Honestly.
He tried to point it out to me one night.
Sorry.
There is a mobile app. There's a mobile app called SRS or ARS, and it will show you virtually all the main satellites that come across over your head. It shows you if you rotate your screen, like your phone, even downward, it will show you the satellites under your feet across the other side of the Earth.
I use an app called.
But it will actually show you
so
when they come into the sunlight, and so you can see them when they're coming in, when they're drifting out of the sunlight.
So the whole issue here is just like the curvature, okay? You can point to curvature, that horizon looks curved. Curvature does not equal globe, nor does a satellite in the sky. That doesn't mean the globe is
It does.
Globe.
Certainly does.
Well, curvature would.
You've got to go ahead and do. You've got to go and build that foundation to explain how the existence of this blinking light in the sky proves that the Earth is a globe.
Satellites are actually blinking.
Kyle?
The shadow will show you, if you look up this ARS or I think it's ARS satellite app. It shows you the satellite coming over, it shows you the streak going across when it's in sunlight, and then when it's going into the shadow of the Earth. And
how does that prove that it's a globe?
Being hundreds of satellites on the app, it will show you exactly the shadow of the Earth.
Because, Kyle, if the shadow is up there at, let's say, 30, 40 degrees, the sun must be lower than the Earth. The Earth must be between the sun and the satellite for it to go into the shadow. Do you see what I'm saying?
Multiple things that can cause the shadow, and so now we're getting into the whole mechanics of how
may I stop you there? May I stop? Yes. How are there multiple things causing the shadow? There's one thing causing the shadow: the sun, the Earth. There's
well,
not
you've got to
multiple
go ahead
things.
and prove that and
It's
verify
one
that
thing.
claim.
But
They do it all
no,
the time.
no. Answer me the question.
No, hold on, guys,
Where are
guys,
the multiple things?
guys. I'm going to step in here and say on behalf of Kyle, he has come here tonight at my request. No, hold on a second. He's come here tonight at my request because I was particularly interested in talking to him about how the religion or his religious beliefs may have impacted on his flat Earth. Right now, I don't know how many of us there are in here. About 6, 7, and Kyle. So I don't want him, he's not prepared for anything. He wasn't expecting anything, and he owes us nothing tonight. So I don't want him to be berated. I'm happy for us to arrange something to discuss that as a topic. But if Kyle wants to talk about it, go ahead, Kyle. That's absolutely fine. But if you don't, then I don't want anyone to think any the less of him if he decides not to tonight.
I just want to jump in here, Mr. Sensible. I appreciate you having me, but it's time for dinner. The dinner is being put on the table as we speak.
Joe,
So
call me anything you like, Joe, but don't call me late for dinner.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Joe.
Thank you for joining us, Joe. You take care.
No
That's
disrespect,
my whole
man.
thing,
No
on
disrespect,
satellites,
man,
and we'd like to
Kyle.
talk about that more later.
I do like you. You are. I can see you're pretty much honest. I like that.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to be nasty or.
No, there was no disrespect, General. There was no disrespect. You weren't rude or anything. It's just that I didn't, Kyle would come here on one understanding, and I didn't want him harangued. If he came on it, right, I'm going on there to take on 6 globe earthers, come what may, that would have been fine. That would have been fine.
No,
That's the thing. I'd love to
totally
hear
fair.
more about what you have to say about that, about all of your evidences for, why satellites prove that you'd love to present something like that. I'd be more than willing to listen to that. I'm short on time, but I do want to say this with the whole topic here about people getting angry and harassment and things like that. I keep thinking about Miracle on 34th Street and about how I was really thinking about doing a video on this a little while ago for Christmas, but never did. Had this whole clip where they had the guy from The Office, the psychiatrist guy, and he's like, oh, well, when someone's delusion gets threatened, then all of a sudden that's when he goes clang, clang with his stick there and his cane. And
Well said.
so
Well
that's
said.
kind of what happens is people feel intimidated sometimes, and that's when they lose their temper and clang, clang, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well said, mate. No, I really appreciate how patient, how nice you are, how respectful you are. Totally appreciate it.
That's.
It's not very often we get to talk to a good flirt.
Actually, he's right though, Kyle.
Sorry.
Kyle, he is right.
Really, on the religious matter, I really try to take the Savior's words and to love your enemies. And I really try to do that to the very best I can.
Well, that's fine.
Sometimes I'm not very perfect at it, but that's my goal, and that's my aim.
My middle name's Karma, so I'm sort of bit the opposite there.
Yeah, I've met several, and they're out there. It's just you have to get through the automatic knee jerk thing first, and some never do get over it. But there are a few that you can actually have a conversation with, and will actually listen, and you can actually go back and forth on a few topics.
Do you know what is really sad? I was asked several times, who's your favourite flat earther? Do you know who I said? Anthony Riley. And I was honest with that. This is going back. And I thought, I know, I would have liked to have sat in a pub and talked to him. Not now. I think he's despicable. And I can't believe it. I can't believe that someone who I disagreed with, but I thought, because he's been on my stream once, and we had a civilised chat. But someone who I could or had chatted with before can turn and do the things he's doing. It's stunning, absolutely stunning.
Well, I said the same thing about Flat Earthology Jesus.
Oh yes, he's been on a few times. I quite like Ross.
Look, he's not a bad dude.
No, he's a nut.
He would really be a good dude to sit and have a beer or a drink and play a guitar around a campfire or something. As long as you didn't get onto flat Earth, because then he goes all weird.
Yeah, he did have some
But,
unusual ideas. I assume, Kyle. I assume, Kyle, you don't. Kyle, you don't hold with his. Kyle, I assume you don't.
Unusual ideas. You just got the gold medal for the understatement of the
Yes,
year there.
yes. Well,
Mr.
Kyle, I
Simpson.
assume that you don't hold with Flat Earth Aussie Jesus' idea that the Grand Canyon was hollowed out by giants, the material was inflated, and that's the moon. I'm assuming you don't hold.
No.
Oh dear.
No. Or why you are an idiot that the giant wolf jumped up and bit the moon and there's teeth marks.
Yes, I done him, didn't I?
I've got
That's
some
pretty
pretty
good
unique.
size tree.
I've got some pretty unique views on giants. I'll say that. I believe there's good evidence that Noah in the flood, he was a giant. And so I'm the only flat earther you'll ever hear say that.
I don't even think. I don't think Noah
shut up.
exists.
A lot of people think that too. And I'm not going to tell you what to believe. I really, on my channel, I really do my best to just say, here's the evidence. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but go choose for yourself.
Well, I can certainly vouch for you, Kyle. There is no swearing, insulting, or anything like that. Whatever anyone else thinks about the value of your evidence or the correctness of your beliefs, you put it forward politely, calmly. You know, so I can't knock that. I can knock your end results, but not how you present it.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, absolute respect given to you, Kyle.
I respond to the other person exactly the same as they respond to me. You talk to me friendly, I'll talk to you friendly. You berate me,
Yeah.
you're going down.
Well, at least it's not Gary Wybanger. Why bother?
Although Gary came in on the stream, was it last time? Briefly.
Yeah, a couple of week ago.
Yeah. And we've had Multi Tom Tom. I saw his name mentioned earlier on. I think he was in the side chat. He just said Flat Earth cannot be debunked. I don't know if you're still watching Multi Tom Tom, but it's now well over a year, and I'm waiting for your undebunkable video that you promised me you would do. Come on, Tom Tom.
Can we put Multi Tom Tom's rap video on?
No. No, he'll probably claim a copyright strike against me, won't he?
Oh God! No, we damage our ears.
It's
Rat
pretty bad.
video or a rat video?
Oh, I'll get you a
Rat.
link. I'll get you a link, Kyle. You'll.
Kyle, don't.
Yes,
don't
yes.
Listen to it, mate. You're a nice guy. I mean, even though you're a flirt, I don't wish it on you. Don't do it.
Oh, don't click it. No, Kyle, it's that bad.
It is quite bad, Kyle. And
It's quite bad.
Take your word for it. If you're saying it's bad,
You just got 2 gold medals, Mr. Sensible.
Thanks,
That's
General.
the second time you've
Yes.
made the ultimate understatement of the year.
I would say that his rap requires some improvement.
Just remember now, Kyle. If you got a bunch of globe earthers telling you that's bad, that must be telling you something. Warning you, trying to protect you.
I'm crying. I'm holding my ribs.
Well, I've chucked you a link to that for your pleasure, Kyle. You can have a listen. That's one of them. He's done a couple.
Torture, not pleasure. Torture.
That's masochism.
Oh, yeah.
Outright masochism.
Oh God. Oh, I'm wiping tears off my cheeks.
There is no God if you're forced to watch that. No God, period.
Well. There's heaven and hell. Welcome to hell. Here's
Yes,
Tom
yes.
Tom.
That is good
That
evidence
video.
for hell, I must admit.
That video is, yes.
Imagine that on a recurring tape, like,
On a-
just over and over.
Okay,
Oh my
I
God.
give in. The Earth is flat.
I've only been
No,
here a
you-
minute
what
and
you
a half. I've only
You
been
gotta
here a
engage-
minute and a half. I give in.
Actually, Kyle,
I don't mind the flames.
I think, Kyle, I sent you the wrong one. It is a rap, but it's his obnoxious one, as in it's very nasty to Team Skeptic. It's the second one called Why Dem Lie, Reggae. Okay. So
I got an idea.
I think
Torture
the
chamber.
hardest the flat earther that's hardest for me personally to listen to
Yeah.
is Orphan Red. I have a hard time with that one.
Well, I think she's.
I got an idea.
I think she's virtually opening up a porn thing now, isn't she?
I've got a
That's
great
scary.
torture chamber idea.
Who
You
was
get
that?
a room.
Sorry.
Who's that? Who? Orphan Red, who's now started
Oh,
something,
oh,
or Orphan Blue. For some reason, she's
Yeah,
chosen blue.
yeah.
Yes.
She went from Trump to Biden.
No, I'm not going to get into politics. Not going to get into politics on here.
That's Trump to Biden.
Gary Wybenga
She's
is
the
back
one-
in the house.
She's the one channel you just want to turn the mute on.
Oh dear.
Or don't watch.
It's
Yeah.
not bad to look
No,
at, but you just don't want to listen to it.
chamber.
Oh yeah, Gary Isla White's just mentioned her nickname. That was a long time ago. Professor Funbags. I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Big screen TV.
Well, I mean, she's yes, I know, Hugh. It's not really porn. She's got the market for 14 and 15-year-old boys cornered. I shouldn't. Oh dear.
I'm not sure what time she's on her way to Berlin.
What's that?
And she's seeing Chris.
Is that an Australian lady I can hear in the background?
Yeah, hang on.
Is that Mrs. General Shady?
So, Mr. Sensible, who is your favorite flat earther now? Is it Kyle?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it probably is Kyle. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because we can hold a conversation, we can disagree. I can call you silly, I can have a bit of a laugh, but nothing nasty, and I've got nothing nasty coming the other way. And no doubt you hope to try and persuade me. I'm hoping to try and persuade you. Yeah, I would say so.
It's life. It's life ever.
Yeah. You're still wrong, though.
But it's quite funny that you choose to have Kyle as the guest tonight, because I just finished a video about Kyle.
Dun
today.
dun dun! Oh dear.
Which one?
Oh.
It will be released tomorrow.
Oh, you're going to have to watch out for that then, Carl.
Oh, you're probably thinking of Editor of Dinosaurs. He's doing one about me tomorrow.
Oh.
On the 19th. Never mind, that's the 19th.
Was this Kyle Adams week?
Yeah.
Oh, this will be interesting, Kyle. At the end of after you've had this from Arctic and you've had whatever from Ryder, and you've talked to me and I've done a response to your mage debunk and so on, you're going to have to decide who's your favourite Glober.
Me.
It could be
I'm your
Glass.
favorite.
Well, there's
Sorry about
there's
that.
a lot of different Glober.
My maid just came in.
That's a
No worries,
selection
Jen.
on that one. But
Round, round, the earth is round. We all know that the earth is round.
Oh my goodness! Well, you should team up. You should team up
15
with Multi
degrees
Tom
per
Tom.
hour drift.
Glass. Contact Multi Tom Tom. Do a duet.
No. Hell no. Double. Hell no. Triple.
It could.
not on my list yet.
It could put several strategic arm limitation treaties at risk, couldn't it?
Have you ever seen a nuclear bomb attached to a no?
Attached to a no. Yes, Mrs. Sensible. That sums her up quite well, actually.
Yeah, yes. You're married, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr.
I'm-
Sensible.
I'm not just married, I'm married to Mrs. S. Yes, Glass.
I thought of a perfect torture chamber.
Okay.
You got a chair across from a large screen TV and that terrible rap video playing on that large screen TV with a big speaker.
It is pretty bad. I've got
On loop.
120 inch projection screen over there. This is my sort of office den, if you like. And of course, when I do my videos, I'll sometimes watch it, especially when they premiere or whatever. I'll sit down there more comfy and watch. And I've seen my video where I had the Multi Tom Tom Why Dem Lie reggae thing in on the big screen, and you're right, it's quite scary. I gave in.
As long as,
I gave in.
I've got
as long,
I've got
as long
120
as you
inch
unplug
LED.
the audio.
I've got a 120 inch LED, and yeah.
It's fine as long as you're listening to it from an orbiting spaceship around another planet.
While the mute's on.
Yes. Kyle, you do need to check out Heavens Above link and listen to Multi Tom Tom's Why Dem Lie. The combination of some scientifically interesting stuff about the International Space Station versus what Flat Earth can do to people will persuade you, or nothing else will. I swear it.
You really are showing Kyle some hate there.
No. Is your sorry, Kyle, I don't know, your partner or is she your wife?
My wife.
Yeah. Is she trained in nursing?
Trained in nursing?
Yes, to be able to minister to you after you've listened to this video.
It's bad. Bad, Kyle. We're warning you. Globers are warning you. It's bad.
But
you used to be a neurosurgeon to fix anything after that.
But it's one of those things, isn't it? You've got to get yourself drunk sometime and suffer from a really bad hangover. You've got to, when you're a kid, nick some sweets from a sweet shop, and you've got to at least once listen to Multi Tom Tom's Why Dem Lie rap. You'll never do it again, but you've not lived unless you've done it.
I don't think I've even got him on my list of flat earthers yet, so I've got to at least see it so I can get him on my list.
Oh yes. Well, that would be interesting.
Kyle, have you ever hit yourself over the head with a sledgehammer? You do it once and you never do it again.
Right.
Yes, Clive says, rest in peace, Hot Black Desiato. Actually, Clive, I believe he's just spending a year dead for tax reasons. And did you know, Clive, that Hot Black Desiato is actually an estate agent in London? It's a true story.
Do you now?
Yeah. No one else knows what we're talking about. Do any of you don't know, General?
Not a clue.
Arctic, do you know who Hot Black Desiato is?
Nope.
Glass?
Nope.
Kyle?
Huh?
Do you know who Hot Black Desiato is? No?
We have LJ Hooker.
You guys, this is terrible. None of them know who the lead singer of Disaster Area is. This is abysmal. He's currently spending a year dead for tax reasons. You might bump into him. Yeah, a year dead for tax reasons.
Yeah. What the?
You might bump into him at the restaurant at the end of the universe, or at the Big Bang Burger Bar. Oh my goodness! What? These people are terrible. I'm going to kick him off my channel.
Sensible.
Yes.
I thought Disaster Area was the park where a big Flat Earth conference took place. That's a Disaster Area.
Disaster Area is the biggest rock band of ever. And
no, that's Metallica.
And as I said, their music can breach strategic time limitations. Look, you guys are shameful. You need to read some Douglas Adams and read it now.
Another big rock band is called Rammstein.
Rob Fowler knows who it is. Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Quite right.
Does a Flat Earther know who?
He's got this great song. He's got this great song. It goes dun dun dun. You don't know it? Oh my God.
Kyle, do you know who Rammstein is?
No.
No? How about Metallica?
The answer is 42.
Oh, he knows Metallica.
It is 42, yes. But what's the question?
Iron Maiden?
We don't know.
No, that is.
Iron Maiden. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, he's starting to get a little better good in my books. He's getting there.
I've also heard of like Iron Butterfly or something, but I'm not familiar with their music.
He's earning his way into the cool badge on my server.
Oh, I'm not going to get in there. I quite like listening to Baby Shark.
42 was the answer for, what was it, the end of the universe?
The ultimate question. You know, everything. Life, the universe, everything. You know.
The mice.
Sorry?
The mice.
Yes, Frankie and Benji Mouse. Absolutely.
What about the giant mouse that was on the rocket booster of SpaceX?
You can often see Frankie and Benji Mouse in my side chat and commenting on my videos. Frankie and Benji Mouse, very honoured.
Mouse?
What about the
Talking about, like,
human-sized
actual
mouse
mice?
on the booster?
Kyle, have you? I presume you've heard of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Have you?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a trilogy in about 5 parts, I think, by Douglas Adams. I personally, and a lot of people think it's probably one of the wittiest, cleverest, funniest books and series of books ever written. It's hard to explain unless you've read it, and then it's absolute cult in the
I
best
saw the
way.
movie, but I haven't read the books.
Yeah, well, the movie actually the movie wasn't too bad, but they twisted quite a bit of it.
So long.
The
and
book
things
is
for
good
Dave-
because you can reread it.
Dave N, don't unsub just because I like Baby Shark. Ping Pong. Oh no, I'm losing subs. Is that counter supposed to go down?
Um,
Oh dear.
It'll only go down
He was a
42.
big fan of Hitchhikers as well, and he was showing me one of the old episodes of the pig who was bred to want to be eaten.
Oh yeah, that cuts through the whole mess, doesn't it? Yeah. How about a little something off my thigh?
Well, a sadomasochistic pig.
My liver must be particularly succulent. I've been force feeding myself for weeks.
Yeah, that was like one of his favorite parts. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you gotta see that. And so he showed me that, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah, you should try it. It's all good natured. He's got some brilliant ideas. In one of the books, he explains the secret of flying, Kyle. That's to trip over and get distracted, so you forget to hit the ground, and you're flying.
Trash.
Oh,
Wish I had a video clip for that one. I might include it in my part about gravity that's coming up pretty soon.
Gravity's real now, boy. Gravity is real.
well,
Gravity's real.
we've got a couple of people here, guys. We have, first of all, Mr. Dr. Bob is back. Hello, back again, Mr. Dr. Bob.
Hi, Bob.
And also, guys, get this. We have in the room Mr. Gary Y. Benga. Hello, Gary. Hello, Gary Y.
it's
Benga.
Gary.
Oh, he's run away. Oh, well, there you go. He had his chance. He's run away.
Try again.
No. He's in the live waiting room. So, you know, if you're in there, you are at risk of being pulled in, just like IB is. So that's his own problem. But if he deliberately ran away, I'm not going to keep pulling him back. And Clive, thank you, saying I'm a hoopy fruit. Well, I do know where my towel is, so that's all right.
That's
Thank
the
you.
most important thing is always
Gary's good enough at pulling himself back, so I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So, Bob, you know where your towel is, I presume?
always
Excellent.
right around my
Good.
neck where it belongs.
And Bob, I don't know if you were listening, but do you know who Hot Black Desiato is?
No, I do not.
Damn! You've just gone down in my estimation, Bob. I thought you're gonna give us a big fat yes on that.
Well,
I
Oh,
think you're the only one there, Mr.
you should have a look. You should have a look. Have a look in my chat. We've got Pizpot Gargravar, who's had the best name. The cat. What else? The Falling Whale. Round ground. Yes. And what went through the mind of a bowl of petunias? Oh no, not again. Oh my goodness. Honestly, guys, you've got to read it. You're in for a treat. Absolute treat. Or not. Oh well, since I'm the only one in the live stream tonight who knows anything about life, the universe, and everything, we better change the subject to something else, hadn't we?
42.
wait a minute. Give me the name again.
What name? Hot Black
The one that you asked me.
Hot Black Desiato.
Oh, God.
Not
Dr.
right.
Bob's Googling.
He's googling, yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Off. I was trying to remember.
Hey, Bob.
Okay.
Hey, Bob.
Listen to the
What?
name.
If we have a triangle with sides 1, 1, and 1.
Is it a cheese triangle, General?
Triangles don't exist. They have curved sides.
Ah.
Oh no. If you
How much
If
of
you
the
go
ball
back
does
to-
the triangle cover? How much
if
of
you
the
go
ball
back
does
to
the triangle
FA
cover?
It would cover the area of the triangle.
Ah.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
Ah, Don Giovanni's absolutely right. Multi Tom Tom's rap is worse than Vogon poetry. Absolutely. And probably challenging Nancy Lucy Jennings, whatever her name was. Yeah.
Spot on.
Of course, it's a tough call. Which is more annoying, Monty Tom Tom's rap or Justin Bieber?
A close one.
Faber.
And Turing test 2. You are correct. Hot Black Desiato is also an estate agent in London. What it was Douglas Adams on his way to the BBC would see and in a bus go past Hot Black Desiatos and thought that was a brilliant name, so he had that as the name of his character for the lead singer of Disaster Area. Another fascinating and useless fact. Sorry?
Now, I do remember Disaster Area.
Yes.
With a planet-sized concert.
That's right, a plutonium rock band.
Yep.
And they crash a ship into the sun.
I do recall that.
Excellent. Yes.
Well,
go on.
The African guy that was on FTFE last night didn't believe in triangles because they were the sign of Satan, so he failed at math because he couldn't look at triangles.
Actually, are you serious? He said that?
Yep.
That is really sad. Kyle, I'm not saying it's anything like that in your church, of course, but what do you think when you hear about people who, I mean, would you consider that brainwashing? Can't look at triangles because that's of the devil, that sort of thing?
I don't know. I think there's a little bit of brainwashing in everywhere. It depends on how you define brainwashing. I think a lot of what we go through with public school system, that's total brainwashing.
Yeah, but
just going through the book where you're expected to believe something because someone said so rather than the.
But we're not talking about arguing about how many degrees there are in a triangle or anything like that. But just the fact triangles basically are evil.
There's a lot, yeah. Like I said, it really depends on how we define brainwashing.
Okay.
So many different things because there's brainwashing everywhere. When you're trying to teach your kids to brush your teeth, there's a little bit of brainwashing that gets thrown into there and trying to.
You could call that parenting.
Yeah.
He did actually also say that telescopes were programmed after the moon landing to describe the Earth as a ball.
Wow.
But how do you explain a telescope that has no electronics on it then? Showing.
No. Anything after 1969, any telescope, any camera, anything was programmed to tell us it was a ball. Truly.
I'd love to have a chat with him.
You
wouldn't
program a telescope that has no electronics in it. An optical telescope. It's nothing more than
it's going to be tough.
What are you programming exactly?
What about a pair of binoculars?
He came from Zambia, so.
Guys, carry on. I need 30 seconds.
Yeah, because how do you program an aluminum tube and a couple lenses?
Yeah, and that's what they tried to argue, and Reds got right on and showed him a bunch of stuff, and his response after 10 minutes was, a bunch of evidence doesn't prove anything.
Last time I checked, evidence would be what you go on.
I've had one guy make that video about me, or directed towards me, and he was trying to say basically the same thing. It was all stemmed off of one of my videos that showed Jupiter and Mars rotating, and I said anybody could see that. Anybody that looks through a telescope could see that. And his rebuttal was that it doesn't look the same through a P900. And I said, yes, that's a much lower end device. You're not going to get near as much quality. But if you look through something with a larger lens with more magnification, you could actually see Jupiter's storm, and you could watch it rotate over time. And basically, he said anything out of the telescope is fake, and any of the images that I had on my video was downloaded off of NASA, and I was just using NASA images on my video.
Yep, that's basically what this guy said last night.
This is a true story. I went to a science museum when I was a kid, and there was a telescope set up, and I was there with my mum. And I said, "Oh, I can look for his telescope. I bet I see the moon." Looked through the telescope, and there was the moon. I thought, what the hell? They'd actually stuck a picture of the moon on the other end so you could see it. Oh, it was great. She didn't believe me. She didn't believe me, and she had to have a look.
Nowadays, too, there was no EQ mount. You had two flexible drives.
Yes.
Two flexible knobs, and you had to wind them at a rate to keep the moon in. And when you put the Barlow lens on, like a two times lens on, the moon was, the edge of the moon was almost straight. Oh, it showed no curve. But when you were trying to keep that in focus, it was so hard to do. You had to figure it out yourself. Nowadays with an EQ, it all works. But they deny.
Well, the problem too is they don't understand how the EQ mount works and how it has to be a globe for the EQ mount to work the way it operates. And they just say no, it doesn't. It can work on a flat plane, but without understanding how the mount actually works.
If you look at the angles that it's changing on and the axes it's changing on, it only works on a sphere.
Well, and more importantly, it also works in the southern hemisphere where you can't see the North Celestial Pole. You still have to align with a pole. So you have to align with the South Celestial Pole.
Hey, Bob.
Which is in the same spot all the time, 24 hours a day, no matter where you are in the southern hemisphere. It doesn't move.
My favorite is look from three places south: South America, South Africa, South Australia. Look south, and you all see the same stars. How does that work on a flat Earth?
Got a video about that.
Oh, well, you've got a video about everything, Kyle. But apparently, Gary Wybenga is ready to come in. Let's give him another try. Hello, Gary Wybenga. Are you here? Are you ready? Oh, he's run away again.
Nope.
Never mind. Not to worry.
Sorry, Kyle. Didn't mean to be nasty there, but
I got an idea, Bob.
If I may ask, how does that work? If you are in South America, South Australia, South Africa, and you look south and you all see the same stars, how does that work on a flat Earth?
More importantly,
same way you
rotating
can see
around
the sun.
same point.
During the Antarctic 24-hour sun, I go through and explain that, and it works the same way.
Please explain.
Well, it has to do with the mechanics of the firmament and the way the light gets refracted through that.
What
and
firmament?
So I go into much firmament.
Yeah, what firmament?
Big glass dome over our heads.
Okay.
The one that can't be detected by radar.
That actually exists.
There's a lot of evidence that goes for it, and I've got a whole series on lesson 7 that talk about the firmament and about the evidence for it.
So meteorites?
I had one of them hit the house.
Actually had a meteorite hit your house.
Yes, so they're real.
How do you get through the firmament?
There is no firmament.
There's a number of different things about that. We don't know that the meteorite actually went through the firmament. First of all, it could have come from underneath it. It could have come from the firmament.
Okay, now that's a great idea. All right, so if meteors come from within the firmament, what speeds them up to the point that they glow and then makes them slow down again? What force is acting on them?
You're asking me what force is causing them to fall?
Correct.
No, what force is accelerating them to the point they glow?
There's a number of different things that cause things to fall. I'm getting ready to talk about this in this upcoming video. I'm talking about gravity and what causes things to fall. And so it's hard to...
I mean, you do realize, Carl, that we're talking between 10 and 20 kilometers per second.
Yeah.
What
How
causes
do you
it to go
accelerate
Fast
something
enough
that
to
fast?
melt rock.
Well, I don't really know exactly how fast it actually goes.
Very.
So
That's
I
how
understand
fast they
you've got the
go.
claim that it's going that
It's
fast.
about
but
20 kilometers a second. Is
Do-
what the speed is.
Do you know what I'd be
How do we
more
know
interested?
that?
Do you know what I'd be more interested in is never mind exactly how fast it goes. What was keeping it up there in the first place, and why is it coming down now?
That's a good question, and I can't say I know all the answers. It really depends on what we're talking about, and so if we could actually observe it, maybe we can figure things out. And I'm all about looking for evidences about and going from there. But before
Okay, Kyle, let
I'm
me help
sorry,
you out
Kyle.
with scientific.
I am
method
sorry,
real
Kyle,
quick.
but we have observed it, and we know what causes it, and we know where they come from.
Actually, Kyle,
Kyle, let me help you out with the scientific method a little bit. Now, you can come up with any semi-educated guess as to what causes something, and that's fine. That's your hypothesis. I don't have any issue with that. But then, before you present that as fact, you have to actually use that to predict something, and then test that prediction.
Right.
So unless you can give some evidence that supports your hypothesis, it's nothing more than a guess. And that
I agree.
goes for any science.
I
So
agree.
if you're going to say there's a dome and things are falling off the dome, you have to be able to demonstrate that there actually is a dome. It's not a fact that there's a dome unless you can demonstrate that it's there. So, for example, how high is the dome over London?
I don't know.
Okay. What's the dome made out of?
I don't know.
Where's it anchored?
Where's it anchored?
Yeah. Does the
What do you mean
dome
by anchored? To the ground?
where does it hit the ground?
I don't know. There's a lot of people out there who think it lands in Antarctica, and there's
Okay, great.
other
Where?
people who say it's out past Antarctica. So I don't really know. That's one of those mysteries that I've got on my plate.
All right.
How did
All
you
right, so
determine-
then we go to Antarctica being a circumnavigating thing
Tarantula.
around the edge of the Earth. But the point is that it would have to be what, something like 160,000 kilometers, or 60? Is it 160,000 or something around
Yeah,
the
one
edge?
of the major
where
differences
Antarctica
between the
is,
globe
and
Earth
we
and
know
the
it's
flat
whereas-
Earth is
whereas-
Antarctica is a lot bigger on the flat Earth than it is on the globe Earth.
Yeah, but we've measured it on the Earth, and it's the size of the one that's supposed to be on the globe Earth. That's the problem that you
It's
run
like
into.
12 or 14,000 kilometers circumference. Not
I mean, there's a race
160,000.
around it every year. I mean, we know
Yeah.
exactly how far it is, and they sail around it every year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
man.
yearly.
No one's saying they don't.
And when they sail east, they turn right around it all the time. If you did it on a flat Earth, they'd turn left.
I've heard that claim before, and I've actually got that one on my debate board. Is which direction do they turn?
Well-
Are they continually turning right, or are they continuing turning left?
Well,
Yeah,
two
that's not
things.
a subject of debate. It's
Yeah.
actually occurred. We know the answer. You turn right.
And can I just say, I've got a super chat from Ilya Lates for $4.99 saying, why do flat earthers always go NASA? Have they not heard about any other space agency? And with regard to this, Kyle, just imagine the two options. Either you've got a continent, a wibbly wobbly continent that you could go around, in which case you're always going to be turning left around it. Is that right? Yeah.
If you're
But
going
no,
east,
well,
right?
yeah, it depends which
You're going
direction you
east,
go.
you're
Yeah.
turning right.
Yeah, but with the how do you call it, guys? Oh, I've lost my train of thought.
Circumnavigation.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
lost my
that's-
train of thought. Sorry.
Here's the other problem, Kyle. If you have things that aren't open to debate because they're already settled, why are you debating them?
I've never said anything was settled. Did I say that was settled?
Antarctica, the location and size of Antarctica is very well settled. So why is it open to debate?
I haven't seen enough about it to say it's settled on my part. You might be able to say it on your part because you've gone through and experienced these things and that you've seen these different evidences, but I can't say I've seen the same. And
Joe's
so
been there.
It's definitely.
Um,
Oh,
I got
And
late
again,
for
I
a
don't-
call.
I've
minutes,
never
Bob.
made the argument that
Can
Antarctica
you
didn't
bring me
exist.
back in when I get done? Sensible? I got
Again,
late for about 10 minutes.
Kyle, please, we're not being nasty, man. You're a nice guy. We're not being nasty.
No, we're not. But, Arctic Reflection has been to Antarctica. He knows how big it is and where it is. So
Again,
why?
I've
Yeah.
never made the argument that Antarctica never existed. That's
Okay,
not my
but-
argument. the existence of Antarctica doesn't prove anything, or doesn't disprove anything I've said.
Yeah, but we know the size and the location of it as well.
That's what you say.
yeah.
I can't say I know that.
Why can't you know that?
I didn't say I couldn't know that. I just said I don't know that. That's something I haven't really verified for myself yet. Does that make sense?
Do you have to verify it for yourself, or can you take Arctic's word that it's there, and here's the size of it, and here's what he did to get to it, and things like that, and then the sun is up 24 hours a day.
Well, I don't want to just believe something because someone said so. Does that make sense?
How about 10,000 people who have been there tell you that the sun is up 24 hours a day in the summer? Does that make it?
I can't believe something because it's a popular belief.
Okay. How about a photograph and a continuous video of it showing that it's up 24 hours a day? Is that enough?
I don't. That's an argument that I never made. I never said that 24-hour sun couldn't exist. In fact, my whole argument has been that 24-hour sun can very much be possible on the flat Earth.
Do you have to personally verify every scientific finding?
I have to personally verify every single scientific finding in order to believe in it.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. That's kind of a one I'd like to think about.
It's a very good question.
What do you think about
and a legitimate question.
I didn't say it wasn't. I just said that's one that might require a little bit more thought.
I'm hearing it in your voice that you're getting pushed into a corner, and I'm sorry about that. But here, that's how it is, mate. Sorry.
Well, I'm not going to push him into a corner. He said he'd think about it. That's good enough for me. And while you do that, you do your research. Ask yourself whether or not you designed and built the chips in your computer, or that was somebody else, and whether or not you accept that they exist.
The chips in my computer, that stuff is kind of a little bit more verifiable.
So is Antarctica. But I mean, the point is, there are things that I'm not good at. There's a lot of things that I'm not good at. But I rely on people that are good at them to be able to at least sort them out for me. That's one of the reasons I went to school, was I had professors that were better at the subject than I was, and I learned from them.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't find any issue with that. And I like to always say that a good doctor is one that is able to educate you about something. I think, for example, a dentist, if they want to give me a root canal, I want to know exactly why I need a root canal versus getting an implant or something like that. I want
Are
a
you
doctor who can
capable of
educate
making that decision? Do you know the difference between a root canal and an implant, extraction, and a filling? I mean, what would be the different indications for them? Are you aware of those things? Can you make an intelligent decision between the four courses of action?
I only know what they are. I wouldn't know which one to pick.
Yeah, and that's where I would want a doctor that can educate me. A doctor who can educate me is one that I can really trust and understand. But if it's a doctor who can't educate me, this is what I'm going to do because this is what I think I need to do. And he can't tell me why he's thinking that, then I have trust issues with that doctor. Does that make sense? And
so unless the doctor is willing to educate you and tell you exactly why he had his decision process, and I do tend to agree with you. I think that's an important thing to go over with patients. But by the same token, if somebody's got type 1 diabetes, I'll talk to them about the different types of insulin, but then I'm not going to turn around and say, okay, well, which ones do you think you ought to take? Because you don't have the training to do it. I do.
Yes.
All right.
And I can take that and I can say, here, this is what I think you should do.
What you're coming down to is a matter of trust. You're only coming down to one thing, and that is a matter of, do you trust the source? And your thing to trust involves, can they educate me to the point I would come to the same decision that they do?
Does this person know better than I do?
That's a goal. That's a goal. I understand that I can't do that 100% of the time. Sometimes I have no other options but to trust you, and trusting you is going to be my best option. And I get that happens sometimes, but overall, I really want to be educated about the reason why this decision is being made. And if you can't do that, then I'm not going to be very comfortable shoes.
Totally fair. Totally
Understandable.
fair.
And very appropriate.
I live in a place, Kyle, which is impossible for the flat Earth. In December, I didn't see the sun at all for 1 month. At the same time, in the southern South America, they had the sun for 7.5 hours per day, and that's not possible on the flat Earth.
Not possible according to your understanding.
How is it possible on the flat Earth?
I've got that whole video about the firmament and about how the firmament can refract the light in such a way that is able to get all the way around the flat Earth.
But you can't rely on claiming a firmament is gospel, is a given truth, unless you can demonstrate it even exists, and you haven't been able to do that.
Well,
have you watched my videos
that.
about the firmament yet?
It's a matter of he's trusting that there is a firmament, but there's is there a way of detecting this firmament with
Yes.
you're okay? How do you detect it? I would love to know that.
I've got.
I mean, I've used
two-
radar and sonar and
Don't quote videos. Tell us how.
I know. So I've got 2 major videos that talk about it, and I've got one of the good videos is talking about Operation Fishbowl and how we slam nukes into it, and the nukes they spread out with a ring effect.
And it says
Okay, I'm
nothing
going to go
about
ahead and stop
firmament.
you there. That's not what Operation Fishbowl did.
Nope.
I don't think they threw
What did
nukes up
Operation
into the sky.
Fishbowl do?
It
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
But they didn't slam them into any firmament.
It was about
They
knocking
were
out
You can
high
watch
high
the
altitude detonations. They were high altitude detonations. They were not slamming them into a firmament.
So if I were to take a water balloon, this is something I demonstrated in the video, you take a water balloon and you throw it at a wall, and you can watch the water sprawl out against the wall. It spreads out and
But
creates a ring effect.
no, man. You're only looking at a nuclear detonation from ground zero, looking up under it. I can fire a firework 50 meters above your head, and it will pop and go outwards, looking like there's a firmament. But it doesn't mean
I would like to
anything
see
there.
that. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that whole.
The explosion would form a sphere, Kyle. You know that,
I
right?
agree. I agree. It started
Okay,
out
what
as
would
a
a sphere look like from underneath?
It looks like a sphere. It looks like a circle.
No, it looks like a circle, an expanding circle, which is exactly what you see.
And that can be
I agree.
any altitude above your head. Any altitude.
I did artillery for 8 years, okay? I know explosions. And with artillery, they make it explode before they make it explode before impact. At least not with all artillery, but some artillery, that's what they do. They make it explode before impact. And so what happened is they detonated the explosion before impact. We saw the spherical explosion, and then after that, we watched it hit the wall. We watched it hit the wall. And so I've got a
Kyle,
You're just describing an airburst.
Kyle,
That's all you're describing.
Kyle, can I just ask? You said artillery. What sort of artillery are you talking about?
Yes, thank you.
I did the Paladin. It was field artillery and the army for 8 years.
How far does one of those fire? How far does one of those fire? Just roughly.
20 miles. We could.
So
hit a garbage
did you
can
have to
straight
take
on at 20
account?
miles.
Did you have to take account of Coriolis?
I never did any of the math or anything like that.
Okay.
Behind it. I just pulled the
Okay.
trigger.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Carry on, guys. I'm kicking back and enjoying this.
Okay, so you were number 3 gunner on a 155, basically, right?
Yeah.
155. I did the Paladins of M109A6 Paladin.
155 millimeter howitzer, basically.
Well, he said it was 109 millimeter, and that's fine with me. Did you ever call it in?
All in the rounds?
Yes.
I wasn't the radio guy. Like I said, I just pulled the trigger and I was the gun bunny who would
Okay, so
carry
you're
the
number
ammo
3 gunner.
and fire.
You'd be very interested in knowing I fired 3 rounds through a 155 as number 3 gunner myself. So, and I always found it was very interesting. You could watch the shell go out and disappear. All right, so could you see where that shell impacted from your gun?
No, it was really too far away for us to see, but I understood the
Could you see the
mechanics
smoke
of.
from it?
No, we couldn't see that. Like I said, 20 miles away is pretty far away.
It's over the horizon, yes.
You do realize that on battleships they used to carry a spotter plane. They would launch a spotter plane that was on a carrier at the back of the battleship. They would punch it off a launcher on floats. It would fly out and hover over the horizon because the battleship could fly over the horizon as far as they could see.
Kyle, how do you feel about the fact, Kyle, that they have to take into account the rotation and the curve of the Earth on battleship guns?
I'm not aware that they do.
And if I told you and showed you the manual from the gun that showed that you had to take into account curvature of the Earth and the rotation of the Earth, would you believe that?
I'd say it's really interesting. I'd probably put it on my board and say, "Wow, that's interesting," but I don't think that would disprove anything for me.
Also, radar range on the ocean is limited because of the curvature of the Earth.
Huh. Radar range is limited. I've never quite heard that one before.
Well, you
But
think
again,
just like
have a horizon.
just like radio.
Radar horizon. Thank you very much. Radar horizon.
I got a
No,
transmitter.
you
that
could-
sounds like
I
it
got
kind of sounds like the whole boats on the
full
horizon
distance
thing,
if
which
it was-
would make sense to me if there's refraction involved.
Well,
I got
the cool thing
transmitter
about
that
using a radar on a
Oh,
boat,
way if it wasn't round.
the cool thing about using a radar on a boat is you have a certain distance you could see other boats. Bigger boats you could see further away with the radar, but you can see weather systems much further away, and that's because the radar is going straight out as the Earth's curving away from you. So you're actually able to see the weather systems much further away than any other boat.
If the Earth was flat on a major boat, the radar could be at any height on the boat. It could be at water level, but they don't. They put it up, way up on a tower, try and see as far over the horizon as they can.
It's because we live in an atmospheric environment.
No, not with radar. No. It's not
see
visual.
why-
It's radar.
Different frequencies.
Radar would still be affected by the atmosphere.
No, not the same aspect you're thinking of.
No.
If the Earth was flat, I got a transmitter that transmit clear across it.
Well, radio signals can be reflected off of the firmament, and that's been demonstrated. So part of video number 2 about the firmament.
That would be a way of detecting it. Has anybody ever reflected a radio wave off the firmament? Because we can reflect. Wait, we can reflect radio waves off of the moon without ever detecting a firmament.
Have you ever heard of skywaves?
We can reflect
Yes,
radio waves off the
There's
ionosphere.
a troposphere. There's a difference between refracting the radio waves off of the troposphere and reflecting off of a.
It's the ionosphere.
Oh,
Well,
the ionosphere
and then the troposphere.
Troposphere.
They're both up
It
there.
depends on the frequency you're using and the polarization of the waves.
Skywaves
But
are
you could actually go
theory
straight
that it's
through.
bouncing off of the ionosphere.
Yes, you could do either one, but and it also depends on your frequency and your the polarization of your waves. But you could also use a different frequency and actually poke straight through the ionosphere, troposphere, and bounce radio waves off of the moon. And there's actually amateur radio operators that do that. They actually even have kits to where you could actually buy the kit. That way you don't have to make it like you used to. You
It doesn't surprise me too much. A radio wave can go right through a glass window, can't it?
Okay, so how would you detect this dome? I mean, we shoot radar through this thing apparently shoot radar through it, but we detect windows and stuff like that on radar.
Yeah.
And we have, and yeah, this can be done with skywaves, like I told you,
Uh,
and that's all part
Okay,
of.
so
If you got the right
send the
radar, I
skywave
could
straight up.
detect a budgie flying around.
So we could send a radio wave straight up and have it detect and come back down and know how high the dome is over us.
I
yeah.
should think so. That makes sense to me. If if you can do it off of the skywaves, that's what you can see. Then
And
that makes sense to
and
me.
we've
If
never
you'd be able
seen
to do
it.
it.
Not
And
possible.
we've never seen any dome, anything, Doppler,
I mean,
radar,
I'm cool with
radio waves,
satellite
nothing.
communications all the time. That's kind of what I do, and we track satellites as they pass overhead, and we direct domes towards these satellites. But we've never ever detected a dome. I've been doing this for 25 years, and have never detected a dome.
And yet you're familiar with skywaves.
I'll ask another thing, man. I'll ask another thing, right? How many telescopes, visual, radio, anything, how many telescopes do you think exist on Earth?
I have no idea. I could never count them.
There's thousands.
There's
Thousands.
More than that. More than that.
Millions.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, scientific, hardcore, large telescope arrays. There are radio telescopes. There are visual. There are thousands of the things. Why are we looking up if we can only see the dome? Why?
Never said you could only see the dome.
But we're looking out beyond, and we're looking into the cosmos, astronomy. We're looking into astronomy, where we're seeing other galaxies and different things. This doesn't account for the dome. If the dome's there, we're not seeing shit. We're seeing some projected image, something firmament. No, we're looking out into the universe.
Like I just told you about the whole glass window. I can look through binoculars out my window and not see my window, but that doesn't mean my window is not there.
So what's above the window?
It's above the window?
Yep.
I think you guys might be talking past each other. I think Kyle is saying that this dome is transparent, and he's not denying there is stuff outside and beyond it.
Yes, but I could fire radar at the glass or whatever's made out of and detect that if I use the right frequencies.
Yes.
And that would be super easy to do, and there is something there to detect. The only thing we hit is satellites and moons. We don't
now we come back to meteorites.
Well, I'm thinking here about the whole thing. Can you detect the ionosphere?
Now we come back to meteorites.
Right, the one that went through my roof.
So what came through the dome, and what made
I haven't
the
seen any
impact
evidence that it's
crater?
actually coming through the dome yet.
What has made impact craters all over the Earth?
A lot of different things.
Like,
so
no.
Can you name a material that's ultra easy to detect with radar? Metals.
Most solid things are easy to detect with radar. Yeah.
Okay, that meteorite that hit my roof is mostly metal.
Huh?
It's an iron meteorite.
Okay.
That means that if this dome was made of what that meteorite was made of, we'd be able to detect that with the worst piece of junk we could build.
And also actually not be able to look through it.
Right.
The other thing is the ionosphere.
It suddenly accelerated from 4,000 miles up to so many kilometers per second.
Yeah.
As a general thing, Kyle, would you posit that the sun and moon are within this dome or outside of this dome? Or not?
I think there's a lot more evidence that they're outside the dome.
Okay.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Okay.
There's a lot of flat earthers who visualize the sun and moon under the firmament, but yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. I can't, with that whole concept, I can't understand the whole 24-hour Antarctica thing. That doesn't make any sense to me. How the Earth doesn't overheat, that wouldn't make sense to me. There's a lot of different things that just don't make sense to me. Now, I'm not going to
We've
say that.
almost got you to a heliocentric model there, Kyle. Almost.
Still gotta-
Kyle,
No,
Kyle, are you
it's
still all right here? Because you've got these guys going. You know, you're holding your own, and everyone's being polite. Are you still okay doing this?
Doing good.
I can hear Kyle being very defensive, and I'm actually not liking pushing him so hard,
No.
Okay.
but I am liking pushing him so hard.
I understand that. So I was going to say that just because I don't understand something, that doesn't mean it's not true. I give the same thing to the flat Earth as I do to the globe Earth. Just because I don't understand how it works, that doesn't mean it's not true.
Can I have you ever, Kyle? May I ask? Have you ever gone and watched Cool Hard Logic?
Cool Hard Logic. His name rings a bell, but I don't think I've seen him. I don't think he's on my list
God! All right, I must say,
Go watch
go
him.
back, go and watch. Go and get his channel. Sub to it. He hasn't posted in a long time, which I'm very, very disappointed. Go and get on Cool Hard Logic and watch his entire series, all of it. his explanations, the graphics, everything. It's entertaining, it's funny, but the educational value is monstrous. He will
I'll add that
show
one to
you.
my list. Make sure you send me a link.
He will dead set show you everything because I think you're fairly open minded, and I think you would really get a kick out of watching what he does and how he explains things. It's true. There is no BS. He has a bit of a laugh and a bit of a go, but it's very, very educational and entertaining at the same time. Please.
Let's hope he's
go.
easier to listen to than Professor Dave Explains.
He is great fun, but his graphics, everything explain everything in astronomy and cosmology extremely well.
Maybe he can help
in a way
answer some
you
of
can
my questions
understand.
about the globe Earth model, Ben.
He will entirely explain, and please do. I really like you, Kyle. You sound like such a good dude. Please go and watch it.
Okay.
Bear with his videos. It's entertaining. It's funny. He does poke fun at flat earthers, but please go and watch that because
I'll just hope he's
really...
better than Professor Dave Explains. Oh my goodness.
Hey Kyle.
He is. I like Professor Dave, but Cool Hard
It's hard to
Logic.
listen to.
Kyle,
Go for it, man.
Dogs.
would you like to go ahead and see that range table right now?
Range table?
Yes, the manual on the 16-inch gun.
You could show it to me.
Go to
Like I said,
general
I'm just going to
chat.
put it in my evidence for the globe pile. And
Well, no, I'd actually like you to look at page 48 and 49 of this link that I'm putting up right now.
Huh?
It's in general chat. Please open that up and have a look at page 48 and 49.
I'm having a giggle at how Mr. Sensible has been so quiet.
I just said to Colon, I just said, I'll let you guys carry on. I'm just kicking back and chilling. I might go to bed, pick it up in the morning and see if it's still going.
Well, my son came over and I'm going to eat some chicken, but I wanted to just share this with Kyle real quick.
I'm looking at 47 and 49, you say?
48 and 49.
48 and 49.
On the one that says, if you look at HTML, there's a 2 right in front of it.
Affecting yards of range due to the rotation of the Earth. I'm looking at it.
There it is right there in black and white. And that's the official manual of a 16-inch gun. And notice, too, it has to do with your latitude.
Huh?
It has to do with your latitude. Your adjustments are dependent on your latitude.
I'm just going to put that link in. I'm going to put the link into chat so everyone else can have a look at that. It's just in there, the gun thing that Bob's talking about.
But you see, there is absolute verification that battleship guns must take the rotation of the Earth into account. And if you look at the other many tables that are up there, they talk about basically making adjustments for range based on the curvature of the Earth.
Huh?
That's cool.
And you will actually see if you go a bit further into it, that they launch spotter planes so that they can fire over the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're dealing with long range artillery, Kyle, you have to take into account not only the ballistics of the round itself, you have to take into account the curvature of the Earth, and you have to take into account the rotation of the Earth.
Hmm.
They weren't an extremely high velocity gun either.
Yeah, but there it is right
big,
there.
Heavy shells. They travel fairly slow, so that makes Coriolis even worse.
Yes.
Now I have to ask you a question, Kyle, and that is: do you think during World War II, when the world was basically fighting to determine what was going to happen to it, do you think that they would artificially put in range corrections for battleship guns simply to try and hide the idea that the Earth was flat? Does that make sense to you?
No.
All right. So you understand that this is irrefutable proof that the rotation and curvature of the Earth is taken into account with battleship gunnery.
Yeah,
because
the
this
only
is
thing
I can
they
see it.
care about-
Glass.
The only thing they care about is it hits the target. They don't care what
Yeah.
the shape of the Earth is, as long as it hits the target.
Yeah.
So
Massive
the bottom
kill.
line, here's the evidence, and here's irrefutable proof of it. So, I don't really know if we really need to carry on the conversation. Do you?
Okay, so you've got me. You've shown me this whole thing right here, and now I've got to wonder about how that connects with all of the other evidences. Does that make sense? It's not just this is that, and therefore this disproves everything else, because it doesn't quite work that way.
No, it doesn't. But when all of the evidence is towards a rotating spherical Earth, and this is just yet another piece of the evidence. I mean, how many different evidences do you need? What is your evidence for a flat Earth? There is none.
They
I haven't seen it.
They also
Have you watched very many of my episodes here? I've got a whole bunch.
Yeah, but none of it's evidence for a flat Earth because it's easily explained on the spherical rotating Earth.
Well, I guess that depends on how we define evidence, doesn't it?
Is this evidence?
I definitely consider that to be evidence for a globe.
Okay, there you go. Guys, I'm going to go have some chicken with my son. It's
All right.
great talking with everybody. Thanks
Thank
again.
you,
Good
Bob.
talking to you.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah,
Good
Bob.
night.
Take care, Bob.
John.
Well, now I know that's some very hard-hitting stuff, and I guess, Carl, with what Bob's talking about, you've got a lot to maybe think on. I mean, guys, I'm very, what's the word, cognizant of the fact that Kyle is just one against everyone else who's speaking here.
Yeah. I hear the stress in Kyle's voice, and
I mean, hey, I'd be the same if I was on a flat Earth channel and had about 6 of them going on at me.
Well,
I don't mean going on. I mean, you guys weren't going on, but you were hard hitting with information, much of which I presume may have been new to Kyle. Certainly, I mean, the gun thing, the tables, I've never actually seen it. I mean, I know they take them into account.
I've never
seen
heard of
it
that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's interesting information. It'll definitely go on my board for evidence for a globe, but that doesn't refute all the other evidences that I've got on the board for the flat Earth. So that's what I'm really looking for. Is
keep an open mind. That's all we ask.
And so if I've got something in my left hand, I don't want to see things pointing out at my right hand. I want you to address the things that I've actually brought up. The thing I'm holding in my left hand, that's what I want you to address, and that's what needs to be refuted. You can't just.
The only thing I ask of you, Kyle, is to go and watch Cool Hard Logic. That's the only thing I'll ever ask of you. Please go and watch
Kyle,
Cool Hard Logic.
I want to say thank you, Kyle, for listening and all of that stuff. But You
Yeah.
asked a question earlier, and I think you deserve an answer on the ionosphere and all. Like I said, I deal with satellite communications often, and you did ask a question, and I didn't get a chance to answer you on it.
Okay.
We with GPS, I deal a lot with GPS, and I actually worked on a couple of correcting signals. I helped in the development of some of the corrections for GPS to make it more accurate. And GPS satellites actually transmit two frequencies. There's a L1 frequency and a L2 frequency that comes from the satellite that goes to your receiver, and your receiver receives from anywhere from 4 to 12 satellites at a time, both of these frequencies on higher end receivers. These high end receivers are called dual frequency receivers, and they usually cost quite a bit. But you can measure the difference in the phase delay of those two signals and determine how thick the ionosphere is and how much delay it's causing at any one point. The thing is, the ionosphere varies in thickness and delay based off of weather patterns and the heat differentials and stuff like that. So you can kind of predict based off of weather how thick the ionosphere is and how much it's going to delay one signal versus the other, because the two frequencies act different through the atmosphere. And by doing that, we're able to correct range corrections to actually get our position really accurate to where we can get 10 centimeter accuracy anywhere on Earth with our GPS system. But
So
yeah.
with this whole thing is the biggest thing with flat earthers is the big huge sense of misdirection in so many things. The science will say, oh well, it's the ionosphere, or oh no, it's the Van Allen belts, and so we see firmament and science is saying, no, that's not the firmament, that's the ionosphere. Oh no, that's not the firmament, that's Van Allen belts. Does that make sense? And so it's this whole big thing of misdirection. We've got our view of it, and then some scientist out there comes up and relabels it as something else. And so
the thing is that it's not necessarily relabeling it. It's trying to explain it to you more as to more detail. And if you think that it's this and somebody says not, then it's behooving of you to, if you want to understand, to actually go into a lot of detail and try to understand how it works.
And so that's where we need to do a deeper, further investigation to really understand the mechanics of it. And that way, when we pull out the magnifying glass and look at the fine details, that's how we can tell the difference between, okay, this is verifying this claim rather than this claim. And the only way to do that is by pulling up
I'll give you this,
details.
Kyle. All right, I'll give you this. How many real scientists, actual scientists in relevant fields support flat Earth? How many?
Not very many. I can't remember them, but not very many.
You can't name one.
I can name one.
Well, name three.
Fonso? Fonso is the geologist, and he's a flat Earth scientist. He's one of the most popular flat Earth scientists.
How do you spell his name, Carl? Carl, how do you spell his name?
Fonso.
Not heard of him.
Fonso? I can...
Yeah.
Okay. He is a doctor from Brazil.
No.
He studied at Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Pronounce his name, and we'll Google that. But I want you to name three real, actual scientists in relevant fields. Just three out of all the millions of scientists on Earth at the moment. Name three out of millions that support flat Earth.
I can just
I'm
point
going to
one
call
right
it
now.
flat Earth because no one, not any real scientist, supports flat Earth. Not one.
Okay, now you're completely denying the legitimacy of Afonso. He runs a YouTube channel called Ciencia de Verdade.
Kyle, can you spell his name? I've never... I'm not trying to trick you or anything. I've just never heard of him.
Okay, he runs a YouTube channel called Ciencia de Verdade. He's number 3 on my list of most influential flat earthers. So I can...
Can you drop
his name down?
drop a link
Let me
maybe.
find it.
So can we
actually-
name three at least?
I've actually worked
Minimum
with a
of
lot of
three.
geologists down in
And
Rio.
and just out of three, we're talking against millions, hundreds of thousands.
Okay,
Of
so
actual
it sounds to me like you're trying to
real-time-
make an ad populum argument here. That
Mm,
the majority,
saying-
because the majority of scientists say this, that means they're right. That's kind of what you're coming at me with.
No, actually, I think he's trying to say that anybody who spent much time looking into this stuff in great detail, like spending years of their life looking into this, don't believe in flat Earth.
Well, obviously you can't say anyone if Afonso is there. I've got it in my video.
Like I said, I've worked a lot with a lot of geologists down in Sao Paulo, and I would be really interested in finding out who this guy is. I mean, I've worked with a lot of geologists down there. I've surveyed in South America. I mean, in the Sao Paulo Rio area, in fact. We've done a lot of survey work and mapping down there. In fact, I've done mapping all over the world. I mean, I have a lot of experience with this. We've done testing of our GPS systems all over the world, including Antarctica. And then on my channel, I have astrophotography stuff that, like I said, some people say it's fake, but it's like something that you could look through yourself. I like showing people how to do things for themselves and doing experiments for themselves, especially stuff that I've done all my life. I try to teach people how they can do it for themselves. And none of this stuff is out of the reach of the average person. People can do this stuff. It takes effort, but it's doable.
Well, listen. Gradually, people have moved out the room.
Yep.
And I've left them out now, and we're sort of winding down, and we've been going for what must be 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I got to get going here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you, Kyle, and I do appreciate it. And you too, Mr. Sensible. I really enjoy your stuff.
Thank you, IB. I'll just move you out and I'll finish off with a little few words with Kyle. But thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. And thanks for everyone else who's popped in tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so Kyle, just me and you now and the internet. Listen, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. First of all, thank you for...
I've enjoyed it too.
Good. For opening up and discussing those issues that we started at the top of the show, which was a bit more personal. And then for sticking by while we discussed the whole, how do you call it? The doxing and wild accusations. And then we turn round to discussing flat Earth. Like I said, I was very cognizant that that's not what you came here for. I was happy for you to talk about it if you were up for it, and you did seem to be. And I know
I'm
that
used to it. I'm a flat earther, and it happens all the time where I sit down with someone and say, "Tell me about your beliefs." And instead of wanting to talk about their beliefs, all they want to do is talk about my beliefs. I'm like, I'm here to learn about you. That happens with the Jehovah's Witnesses all the time.
Yeah, but no, I do appreciate that, and I know and trust that the guys that are on here that are on my channel that they would. I can hear a young'un there. I know and trust that they'll treat you respectfully. Even so, it's you get into a discussion
it was decent.
Yeah, but you can get into the point where people get excited or frustrated with the other person, and it can get heated. So I'm very aware of that as well.
Well, I think what people want to do is they just want to feel listened to. And so when they say something and I don't automatically agree with them, all of a sudden now they don't feel like I've listened to them. And so that can kind of cause them to be frustrated. Well, I understand this so well. Why don't you understand this? And so I get that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they gave you or suggested you look at Cool Hard Logic.
I wrote his name down. So
I gave you that horrific rap by Multi Tom Tom, who's in the house. Multi Tom Tom, we shilling out your rap, man. General Shade is just super chatted $2 Australian saying Kyle is awesome. total respect, great guy. That's General who was just in here with us, okay?
All right.
Yeah, it's a nice. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, we can do it again. My request to you would be whether you sort of report back to us and what you think or not, just for your own sake, have a look at that Heavens Above or alternative satellite tracking website, and have a look at the ISS. I think that you'll be impressed. It's quite an amazing thing, and to think, especially if you pick a prediction that's about a week away, and then you go out that evening at that time, look in the relevant direction, and it appears there, within seconds of when it's supposed to be. That's pretty impressive stuff. I really would recommend.
My neighbor, he was one who felt really strong about that. He's like, oh, I see that light in the sky, therefore the Earth is gold. I'm like, I don't make that connection. Just because I see a light in the sky, I'm not seeing the connection how that determines the shape of the Earth.
Well, consider that as a later step. The first step would be that there's something that's extremely and accurately predictable, which is hard to explain without it being something man-made. But yeah, I would just ask you to do that. Even if you want to, I'd be interested in knowing, Kyle, even if you said, look, I don't want to talk about it with anyone else. I would just genuinely be interested in if you do it, what you think. Okay. Even if we don't discuss it.
I think that's what it really boils down to, is even if, I accept that light, which is probably I'm already kind of there. I've seen plenty of satellites up in the sky. At least that's what they say they are. I don't have that connection that says satellite equals globe. I just don't have that.
Well, I'd like to chat with you about that because, obviously I've got different views. Perhaps we can do that. Perhaps we can.
Okay.
Perhaps I should do a bit.
Interested in hearing what you believe in.
Excellent.
So don't think otherwise.
No, I don't. And I genuinely have enjoyed chatting with you. I really have. Okay. So I'm going to wish you, your wife, and all your little ones all the best. Okay. Please stay safe with this COVID. Please stay safe with regard to all the other issues that are going on in your country right now. Our thoughts are with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle. You take care. I'll chuck you back in with the guys, and then if you want to say good night to them or whatever, you can. Okay.
Okay.
Cheers.
I gotta get water right after this.
Okay. I'll catch you soon. Thank you, my friend. Bye bye.
Good night.
Wow. Absolutely excellent. Really enjoyed that. Couldn't really have asked for it to go much better. It's just a shame for Bob at the start of the show. He had issues with his live stream because we were having the two streams together. Covered a lot of stuff. Great bunch of guys, both on the chat and in here in the room. Really, this is why I do it. And talking with Kyle has genuinely been such a pleasure. Yes, I know, and I'm not wishing to be rude to Kyle, but yes, I know we think he's wrong, perhaps silly. Other people may have stronger views, but he definitely changed his position based on something that I had shown him, which I got the greatest of respect for. He has listened to everyone and put forward his thoughts without any anger or nastiness. What more can you ask for? You got a choice of someone behaving like that, or someone behaving like the Rileys and others of this world with all the disgusting attacks. I'll take Kyle every single time. And I'm sure that you guys would too. Thank you very much for all the super chats. Very much appreciated. And all the comments. Thank you to my members and patrons as well. I've got a video out. I'm not sure if I've got it scheduled for tomorrow or the day after, with someone I haven't touched for a long time. It's fun. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see what else I'm going to do. And towards the end of the week, I'll probably do another live stream, either Friday or Saturday night. I'm not sure yet. See how it goes. Want you all to stay safe. Well, that's easy for me to say, or perhaps it isn't. But I want you all to stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Until next time, stay sensible. I pressed the button. Where's the button?